checking out the signals for the Baltimore Colts. Unitas gives to Amici. The Colts are the world champions. Amici scores.
It's amazing, sensational, dramatic, heart-rending, exciting, thrilling finish in the history of college football. California has won the big game.
5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable.
This is Phil Steele.
This is Mike Burnop.
This is Wes Durham.
This is Mike Ashley.
Hi, this is Chuck Foreman, number 44 of the Minnesota Vikings.
Woo, mercy, this is handsome Jimmy Vane, the Boogie Woogie Man.
This is Coach Fry with Virginia Tech football, and you are listening to Big Dog Sports Talk.
Are you ready to rock? Are you ready to roll? Okay, let's do it.
Morning. How are you? Good to see you. Yes, I know. You waited far too long. I understand. It's Monday here on the program, week number 2 of the new show through YouTube. As always, we invite you to join us first and foremost on the McClellan Chiropractic chat line. That is the best way to chime in and just leave your comments, and we'll mention you and have a great conversation throughout the morning. Also, you can hit us up on our BDST text line, which is also up and running, as you can see it down below, 540-391-0788. A lot coming up on the program here today, as Germaine Ferrell will join us from WFXR coming up at 7-ish. And then after that, we're going to be joined by the head baseball coach down at Radford University, Alex Guerra, just completed year 3. Program made a huge leap, and Alex got an extension and has a very exciting new coaching hire to talk about. So program progressing in the right direction. So we'll talk to AG about all that. And then, of course, Mike Burnop today. Now, we've had to make some adjustments early in the schedule this week because tomorrow, and I'll remind everybody with social media and when we come in tomorrow, but tomorrow will only be an hour show because it's the annual Radford Athletics. It's a mandatory on-campus presidential all-day type of meetings through the various departments and so forth. So that begins at 7:45 on campus. So tomorrow we'll do the show from 6 to 7. It'll just be us hanging out. And then we'll segue back on Wednesday for the regular program. So just to give you a programming heads up, that's why Mike Burnop's joining us today on the program. So we didn't want to miss Mike. So there you go. So that's the adjustment for tomorrow. 1 hour, the annual RU thing, and then we'll be back on Wednesday, which I knew about, so not a massive deal in terms of the show. Just one day. It's one day. Also, we want to thank all of our friends and all the folks at Family Fencing for being the sponsor of our studio here in Reiner. They have a no-dig installation system. I didn't put my prop reader up here like I should. They build fences with no holes, no mess, no damage. They're locally owned fence experts here in the NRV Southwest Virginia, specializing in aluminum, vinyl, wood, chain link for residential, commercial, agricultural, and yes, finance options are available to make it easy. Get your free quote from Family Fencing, 540-200-8294, or visit familyfencingnrv.com down below. So we have that going on. And again, the McClellan Chiropractic. Good morning, Reggie. How are you? Good to see you. Yeah, ready for week 2. Glad to have you back. McClellan Chiropractic chat room. Hit us up on the chat room. Hit us up on the text line. But I mentioned before we get into the show and everything coming into the weekend, and I hope everybody had a good weekend. Mentioned a major sponsor announcement. Last week I was teasing it Thursday and Friday heading into the new week, and very, very excited to pair up with Jonathan Sweet and his crew up at Pulaski County and Big Dog Sports Talk here with Rick Watson, now presented by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. And that is very, very exciting. We appreciate them jumping on board. Yes, thank you so much. And it's going to be great. We're going to keep everybody updated what's going on. They have a great initiative that's through athletics, all the things they're doing. If you live up my neck of the woods, Pulaski County and the Dublin-Pulaski area, you see all the things that are improving. The new sports complex that's going up. We're going to meet several of the people that's responsible for this up at Pulaski County, and a vision that Jonathan and his crew have had, Tim Miller and all those wonderful people that have stepped forward to really refurbish Pulaski County. And it's an exciting time. It's an exciting time. So we are very excited to be able to say that BDST with yours truly, presented by Pulaski County Sports Entertainment. So that's the major announcement that we had here today. And we would also like to welcome Little River Heating and Air, thanks to Charles Lee and his crew, 1095 Radford Street in Christiansburg, for also sponsoring this program. So we're very excited about that. And I can say verbatim that what I try to do, and hey, is there any sponsors out there who want to jump on board, hit me up during or after the show. We can fit you in your budget, not my budget, your budget. But with Charles and Little River, I know that he worked for a different company and decided to branch out on his own, kind of like what we're doing here on the show, here on YouTube. And he came here. I had an emergency earlier, right before the hot weather started, like late spring, mid-spring, with my heating and air units. And he and his crew, he worked with me. We got all the insurance stuff, the homeowners covered, and they said, hey, we're going to be there this day. And they were there, worked all day, had it done in one day, inside and out. Just incredible. So give them a call, Little River Heating and Air, and we appreciate them. I like being able to endorse folks that I've used, and it's what this whole thing's about. Just trying to work as a community and help each other. So thanks to Charles and all the folks at Little River, and we're very excited, again, to be presented by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. So that's the two big sponsorship announcements here on the program. Also for you, and this is courtesy of Ryan Pry, who is an attorney down in Radford, 70 West Main Street. We're going to have, this is going to be cool, we're going to ask a question today, and I want everybody to think about it. All right. The BDST fan question of the week. And this is, again, presented by Ryan, and we appreciate Ryan. Again, 701 West Main Street. That's in the Central Square parking lot. You can give him a call, 540-838-2233, or you can visit prylawoffice.com for more information. He specializes in trust and estate planning. But this will be fun, and this was all Ryan's idea. We're going to do the BDST fan question of the week, and then we're going to have all week just to take what people say. There's no winner or loser per se. It's just get your takes, and I'll put it up in the chat room, and I'll put it up, I don't know, somewhere else so you can see it. But we're going to have people just answer a question. And I guess my initial question here for the BDST fan question of the week is for you just to tell me throughout the week what made your team, your favorite team, either in the National Football League or in college football. Like, why is that your favorite team? So that's going to be our BDST fan question of the week, courtesy of Ryan Prygan, 701 West Main Street in Radford. And I'll type that in, and you just think about it. There's no wrong answer. And then we'll read the ones, at the end of the week. With what people said, and I'll remind people every day about the question. But that's going to be the fan question of the week. Why is that your favorite team? Football only. We're going to keep it specialized to football, NFL, or college. So thanks to all the new folks who have joined the program. It's been amazing. Thank you so much for partnering up with us here on the new program here on YouTube. So thank you for that. And again, hit us up on the text line and hit us up here in the McClellan Chiropractic chat room. All right. So I think that's got us caught up on all the business. Yeah, it does. For now it does. We would love to have more business to get caught up on each and every program. But coming off the weekend, I hope yours was great. The best news about the entire thing this weekend, if you take a deep breath, is realizing that this was the last weekend that we're going to have without college football. No more weekends without college football until January. Is that right? Yeah, I think that's right. So in spite of everything that we know about it and how frustrated everybody's getting about college athletics, hey, for college football, brand new start to the season, people will tend to forget about that. And we're just a couple weeks out from Virginia Tech and South Carolina in the opener. So isn't that cool, though, to think about? High school football begins not this weekend in terms of the regular season, but the next weekend. So that's happening. It's very cool here in Reiner, in the Family Fencing Studios, that Auburn High School football is back. They've been really working hard behind the scenes, new coaching staff, to generate enough interest, enough participation numbers to bring the football program back. We've had some sad states, missed a couple of seasons, and didn't have a season last year because of the way it's set up in terms of kids coming up and the kids who were upperclassmen that did not participate. So it's good that it's coming back. I know other counties have had to face this, in other school systems. So very happy to see that. I'll go up to the first game. That'll be great. It's going to be a big crowd. I think they're at home the first Friday night. Let me know, peeps, in the chat room. Good morning, Al. Good to see you, Big Al. Rodney, good morning to you as well. And we do have, we have the benefit games this weekend. And this is, the benefit games are always very important because they kind of give you a look-see into what's going on, depending on how coaches approach it. We're watching the NFL right now in the preseason. A little difficult for me to get into the preseason game, especially when the coaches come out and they say, hey, we're not going to play any of our starters and so forth. So you watch and you want to watch your depth. And I'm sitting there watching the Broncos play the Cardinals Saturday night, But usually with these benefit games, they give you a pretty good look. Now, sometimes that's not always the case. Sometimes some coaches will pull back on that as well. But usually, from a high school's perspective, you don't have a lot of opportunities to kind of get your first team units out there in a real game situation before you kick it off. So benefit games are usually pretty competitive, and it gets them involved in a real game environment. So that's what this weekend is about. James River at Auburn. Thanks, Derek. On the 29th. I'll be there wearing my blue and white. Go Eagles. Dwayne, good morning. Join us on the McClellan chat room. People filtering in here. I know it's early on Mondays, right? You get up after the weekend. But, hey, we'll have football to jump right into going forward, man. Every Monday we can just be excited about the weekend that was in football. No more college football-less Saturdays. Of course, Friday, very emotional day for yours truly. By the way, I appreciate so many people chiming in and, wishing my son the best as he starts his journey at UVA Wise. We got him moved in on Friday after the trip down. Gorgeous drive, man. If you're going down, 81 South near Abington, and you turn off and you're going toward Norton and you're in Coburn and Wise County, it is just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And I really appreciate all the folks, and there were a lot of you who took the time to wish him the best. We're keeping us in your thoughts. We got him dropped off, got him in his room. He's in McCreary Hall, if anybody knows Wise at all, which for me is cool. Sports guy, that's the football dorm. So when you're on the first floor, and if you've been to Wise or you're Wise grad or whatever it might be, you know what I'm talking about. It's a campus of around 2,000, 2,100. It's very quaint. I love it. I love how tight-knit it is. But when you walk into the floor to get to the stairs, he's on the top floor, on the third floor. You go by all the football offices. You see the paintings on the wall. You see the football locker rooms and all the rooms for the players. It's really cool. And the stadium is really nice. Basketball arena or the gym there's great. Baseball field, they got new turf on baseball and softball. Drove through all that and looked at all that. But he's on the top floor. The only setback is in his dorm, they don't have any air. It's air conditionless. The freshmen get the only dorm that doesn't have air conditioning. So, of course, we had to do what everybody, any parent who's dropped off their child at school had to do. You have to go to make the Walmart run, get him a few things, fan included. He and his roommate seemed to be hitting it off. But I just wanted to take the time to thank everybody. I really do. It's great. It was great to hear from so many people. We had one gentleman who said, hey, I train. He's an officer that goes around and trains police forces, apparently. He trained the police force in Wise, and I really appreciate the gentleman leaving me a number. Hey, if I ever need any trouble down there, just to call. And I really appreciate that. Things like that. Because, he's my last child leaving the nest a little bit. It's just been me and him here at the house for 6 years. So, we were bachelor buddies for a long time. And you always are a little concerned, when you're going away like that. So things like that, man. That's why this community of people who listen to the show, and that's why the show is yours. And that's what I always say. That's important, and that means a whole lot. Thank you so much for that. All right, Big Al says tonight on ESPNU, they're going to have the Miami Tech football game from last year. Uh-oh. I don't know if Tech fan wants to relive those moments, but yeah, I get it. The catch that wasn't allowed, something that seems to be a pattern for Virginia Tech late in games, right? i.e. Michigan. So, yeah, all right. I don't know how many people are going to want to watch, but I get it. You might want to watch. They played great in that game. Kyron Drones was outstanding. Offense had no problem at all. Miami was being built up as being that contender like they are again this year in the ACC. Didn't happen, though, in the long run. And now Miami's being built up again. Here they are. Some brands are just going to be built up. And I don't know how many people fall for it as much as they used to be honest. But I know in terms of reality and what the brand may say, there's just so much that gets tied into what it used to be like, the past. And I think that no matter what generation of folks who are covering college football, they just seem to always go there. They seem to go there time and again. And I'm not really sure or understand why they do that. Because we're smart enough to know that when you put Miami up in the top, 10 or 12, and you think they're going to do this and that most of the time they're not going to have that particular success that you're looking for. But that's why you play the games. That's why you play the games. And I think that's what makes it extremely exciting. We don't know exactly how it's going to turn out. We watch, and then we get very excited about the beginning of the season because everybody's on the same slate. You watch these games, and sometimes early in the year you see results, and it ends up being the kind of thing where, okay, if they played well in that game, like for instance last year, wasn't it? I believe it was Georgia Tech, and was that Georgia Tech and Notre Dame playing over in Ireland or somewhere, whoever that was. And you watched Haynes King, and you watch them, and you realize, you know what, they're going to be pretty good. Hokie Bob, Danny Cole caught the ball. Yeah, you did. He did. He did. He caught the ball. He caught the ball. But sometimes you can get a nice insight into teams' first performances. Sometimes mean something in terms of success, and sometimes they don't. And I think it depends on whether or not you have a veteran team or a younger team. But you watched Georgia Tech early last year, you realize they were different, right? Sometimes you watch teams that are built up and you watch them play, and then I don't really see why they're getting so much love. I don't really understand why they're getting so hyped up. And I believe that's something that happens every year, right? It's not unique. But all this speculation, seeing all these anticipatory moments start to get resolved next weekend. And that's what's so much fun as college football finally arrives. We had a lot of great comments. Phil Steele, of course, joined us on Friday. The Phil Steele College Football Magazine. Go get yours if you don't have it. Interesting, his comments about the league. You know, even though Tech was listed 12, I think he had 3 ACC teams, Florida State being number 1. The one thing I've always paid attention to, well, I pay attention to all of it. I don't want to, word that the wrong way. But the one thing I've always looked at with Phil is that most improved team list, because he usually hits on that as well as anything else. He's already the most accurate mag out there. To have Tech listed there at 12 means, okay, he understands the kind of talent that they brought in through the portal and so forth. So, yeah. I believe, looking back on the things that he said, what really stood out to me, too, he's got Clemson playing in the national championship game. So that alone, in spite of the polls and in spite of all these folks on ESPN who are going to just pump up their own self-interest, right, in terms of what they're broadcasting, I'm going to pay attention when Phil says Clemson's playing the national championship game. That's big, man. That's wild to me. And you know what? Kudos to Dabo. Kudos to Dabo Swinney for, I know he gets a lot of criticism. A lot of people don't like the way that he is, and I get it. He's a little high-strung, a little dramatic sometimes. And we criticized him a lot on the radio show about this whole, I'm digging my feet in. I'm gonna stand firm. We're not gonna dive into the portal when other teams are passing him in his own league, right? Boom, boom, boom. Now he had to swallow hard, and he didn't have a lot of choice. Just like Brent Pry didn't have a lot of choice in completely revamping his coaching staff. But they did it to their credit for the greater good. And look what's happened in the first year. And you knew Clemson, this is what we used to argue back in the day. Clemson is going to be a place that kids are going to want to go play. And they're going to have money once they decide to open themselves up to that. And Radford University has played Clemson basketball the last 2 years. Great people down there. Radio Network know their folks very well, and the Sports Information Office. And you just talk to fans, and where you sit in a lot of these ACC gyms, you're not down on the floor. They have you down in the middle part where they built these impromptu press rows during the dreaded COVID. So, but you're sitting around fans and they talk. So I like to talk to fans. We're setting up for the game and you're ready to go, waiting for pregame to start. And you're just talking to people, nice people. And you just ask them some of these questions. And they say, there's people ready to, and I was getting told by these people, there's so many people that are ready just to donate, give all money, so much money they can do once they decide to go forward. And they were telling me then this is going to be the last year that Dabo, they were wording it like Dabo gets away with not being able to go to the portal. They knew he's not going to have a choice after this year because they expect to win the ACC every year. They've done it, 8 of the last 10 years. I mean, that's their expectation, and they've earned that. So they go about things a little differently down there. And now that they have, and now that they've added players, here they are, guys like Phil Steele are saying they're going to play in the national championship game. Clemson is the brand right now in the ACC on the football side only. They're the team that continues to be consistent. I think they're going to get back to being more consistent. And I guess I'm just, this is just theorizing. You can't speak for anybody else, but I wonder if, Dabo is one of those coaches, and I'm sure there are a lot that are, because a lot of these coaches, and we've talked about basketball side in particular, that have just walked away, that have surprised us, none more so than Tony Bennett down in Charlottesville. But I guess maybe they just look at it as an intrusion or an insult that they have to go out and do it this way. And I don't think you can take on that mindset and survive, because nobody is pointing a finger. You didn't do this the right way. Look how you built your program before. No, this is just the way of doing business now, literally, in college athletics. And I think a lot of coaches, younger coaches in particular, I think it's a seamless transition for the most part. I really do. I don't believe that they look at this as anything different than, okay, older coaches, we've said it again, they get out. That's happened a lot in college basketball. I believe the majority of those coaches, even though they cite other things, although some are very honest, Tony Bennett being one of those, they'll cite other things, but then they basically tell you this is not what I signed up for. And they give up the money. They give up the notoriety. And I get that side of it too. I do. But I think Dabo's probably in that mindset. But I know he loves coaching football. He loves that area. And you just have to go, this is it, man. This is what we're doing. So we shall see if it means they're going to have the kind of success that folks like Phil Steele think they're going to have. We got a lot of comments too. And I said this on the air, blown away. Of all the Division I programs, I could have thrown out any name in any league, not just even a Power 4 league. Hey, Phil, we have Timmy up in Wyoming. Want to know about the Cowboys? Tell us about he would have just been able to sit there and go through the Wyoming depth chart. And I was jumping around there at the end. We were asking about certain Big Ten teams. We were asking about Indiana. Asking about West Virginia for all the West Virginia peeps. He just goes, and he's not siphoning through the magazine. He would go, hang on a second, Rick, let me find them here. No, and I'm like you, I'm just in awe, just completely in awe of that guy. The retention that he has to create those capsules, incredible. Blew my mind. Every time he's on, blows my mind. It's just awesome. It's just awesome. Coming up, I believe on Thursday, Brian Steinspring's going to join us. Roanoke College football about to have its first full season under Coach Steinspring. He's been all over the news, and we're going to spend some time with Steiny. So thrilled for him. One of the best people, probably going back to the first run of the show, in 2001, 2010, as Tech was continuing their heyday out of the late 90s into the 2000s, being a consistent perennial top 10, top 15 program. And I know that he took a lot of criticism, because that's going to happen. The offense isn't it. Bud Foster's defense was carrying a lot of those games, but nobody can deny, first of all, the kind of person Brian Steinspring is, and secondly, the kind of recruiter that he was. And our very own Dwight Vick, DV will tell you all the time, there's nobody who he would have rather had as his coach and as his recruiter than Brian Steinspring. So I believe Thursday is going to be the day, and I'm excited. We have a startup program down at Roanoke. And now they jump in full throttle, and I wish them nothing but success. And I hope Coach Steinspring has a terrific start to his next career move. And I think he's going to do a terrific job. I think he's the perfect guy, not only from a football perspective, but just from all the intangibles that he brings to the table. And I think you have to have that, a natural ability with people. And he's got that, he really does. He's got that. So he will join us. I believe it'll be Thursday. I'll keep you updated. On all that. But very exciting time for him and for that program is, college football is built up so much momentum that Roanoke College is bringing it out. And I think they're going to have success. I think they're building it the right way. They understand what they are. And, I think you're going to have crossover people. Now, obviously, Virginia Tech and the ACC, that is always the aura. But, people understand, this is different. You're never going to see Roanoke College line up on the field at Lane Stadium. different levels of the game. Doesn't matter. It's still a program here, basically in our backyard, and we'll have a lot of kids. You're going to have a lot of your kids, that are playing high school football, and you're going to get interest, and they're going to end up at Roanoke playing the game, potentially. I mean, you look at the programs around here. Emory and Henry's kind of become a secondary favorite program of people here in the NRV. I throughout the years, I can't even name all the kids that have went down to Emory and Henry and played either football, basketball, Randolph-Macon. I mean, just you name it. UVA-wise, Division II now, you're going to have kids that go there. And because my son's going there, I'll keep up with Wise. I'm going to keep up with UVA-Wise, Cavaliers. Want them all to do well. We're all from the same place here locally. We want these teams to do well, and the good people that are running it. So, Coach Steinspring will be on with us later in the week. Michael Chris going to join us, I believe, on Wednesday. Now, he's the head football coach at Radford High School. Speaking of high school football, getting ready to get amped up and ready to go. So, I believe Coach Chris is with us on Wednesday morning, if I'm not mistaken. So tomorrow we won't have any guests because it's only going to be an hour since I have to leave for the meeting. And then we'll come back on Wednesday, and I'll let you know for sure how the shows play out. So far, and I get these questions a lot, I don't really have – there's only a three guests so far that are going to be certain times, certain days. It's a little different than the radio show. There's a little more time to have conversations. There's more chance for flexibility. So, I'm going to work it into people's schedules. Just like if you are out there and you are a potential sponsor and you have some extra marketing dollars, I work with your budget. So Mike Burnop will usually be on Tuesday. We're moving it from Tuesday to today because we had to. I won't be here but for an hour long. But we're going to play around with it. When people can do things certain days, we'll adjust that way accordingly. So there you go. Hey, that's right. Good point. Yeah. Devon Morgan is the head coach at Bluefield State, former Virginia Tech player. So people will be naturally tied into, pulling for Bluefield State. Thanks, Wayne. Good morning to you. Hit us up in the McClellan chat room here from the Family Fencing Studios. And we're very excited about that. So, yeah, I mean, there was a reason once I decided to bring the show back in this format that I wanted to wait until we got into football returning month. Wouldn't have made a lot of sense I didn't really even know back in June, to be honest with you, once the radio deal at the other station fell apart because that station's now disbanded. It doesn't make a lot of sense to bring it back in June. Cover the Major League Baseball, tennis, golf, and no, you bring it back when football's right on the cusp of happening. And it's here now. You can now say it's here. I mean, it's game week this weekend in college football. And that is, in spite of everything, a very, 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 very fun time. It really is. Let's see here. Who do we have? Let me go in here. Let me get into the whole week one. What do we have? Now, see, we've got a great game right off the bat here. This is what we've got on Saturday. We got Iowa State and Kansas State. That's a ranked matchup. That is in Ireland this year. Yeah, that's the game in Ireland. Kansas State and Iowa State. K-State Rob, I know you'll be watching. Fresno State and Kansas play. That'll be on Fox. It's the Big 12. That's a pretty interesting matchup. Stanford and Hawaii. That is the last game. And then on Thursday, you got your first Thursday where you have a pretty large schedule of games highlighted by Boise State and South Florida. So, coming up on Saturday, that's a pretty good way to get started, right at nooner. Iowa State and Kansas State over in Ireland. I like the way the game has looked in Dublin, Ireland. First of all, it's grass. I know last year there was some controversy over the field. I don't know if they're going to change the turf or not. It got torn up pretty good, if I'm not mistaken. But you get a conference game right there. So, yeah, there are 3 FBS games. You also have Idaho State and UNLV, Sam Houston and Western Kentucky. But you have 5 games next Saturday. And that's cool, man. That's cool. And a full slate. There's a lot of games on Thursday. Duke begins their journey. And Phil also really likes Duke. David Teal singled out Duke. You give Manny Diaz some credit. A lot of credit. I mean, Duke has been on the uptick in football. And I know that's a place that probably surprises people, right? So they bring in Mike Elko. And he immediately turned their fortunes around. They had money to spend at the time that kind of surprised people. Remember how good their defense was? Not a surprise. Mike Elko, terrific defensive coach. That's why he's at A&M. But they recruited really well on the offensive side, built up that offensive line. That was huge, very huge. And, he got a new job. And Duke was a very, very difficult team. You bring in Manny Diaz, who didn't work out at Miami, but that, we know now that's not his fault. Mario Cristobal has found that out. Not his fault, necessarily. And he's done a great job. I mean, a great job so far at Duke. And now there are a lot of people who are on board for Duke having a big year because they continue to put money in, they continue to recruit. And, if you're a Tech fan, UVA fan, whatever it might be, you want as many teams as you can, at least going into this year, because I don't know how the ACC is going to look in a year. You don't know. You hear all these rumors. We talked about that last week. Carolina now all of a sudden being the team that seems the program that's going to jump before even Florida State or Clemson because they've gone about their business the right way. They've kept it in-house. They've kept it quiet. They didn't go around and try to step on the chests of everybody else in the league, climbing over bodies to get to the destination. They just let it all play out while they were still North Carolina. And now that I think about what we've read, tell me if this doesn't make sense in a way. Makes sense in a sense. Broadcaster. Carolina, obviously, behind the scenes has known that they're going to be a very attractive entity to the Southeastern Conference and the Big Ten. The whole Bill Belichick hire, not a mistake from a potential marketing standpoint, not necessarily because Bill Belichick's going to go out and be Mr. Personality. I think he's going to be the same way he was. It's what Teal was talking about last week. I think he's going to be the same way that he was with the media at pressers. I don't know how he is behind the scenes with the boosters. He's got to be a different way. He's got the sideshow of his very, very young girlfriend. If that's still even a thing, you don't hear as much about it. I guess that it is. I don't know. I don't care. But maybe that was part of the whole thing in a sense too, in a way. And plus the fact they have nothing to lose. So you roll the dice. And you just go. But anyway, back to my original point. You want the ACC teams to do well. You don't want to see just a bunch of patsies in the ACC get run over. And it looks like the way that it's set up, there's going to be 3 or 4 teams where you're going to think, yeah, that's probably going to be a pretty easy win. And you don't really want that in your league. You want to be able to beat teams, and you want to be able to say, yeah, we're better than them. But you don't want to see them go up against other power leagues and just get wiped out. So programs like Duke that are expected to be okay, you want them to go ahead and follow through. So, yeah, agreed, Wayne. I think Nebraska and Cincy, yeah, that is a good game. A lot of people are kind of, I believe, didn't Phil say Nebraska too? Yeah. Phil had a dark horse Big Ten contender. He mentioned Nebraska. Because I asked him that question before we let him go. Yeah. So we'll see. I could see that. I could see that happening. I think that, first of all, it's a great fan base. Great fan base. We went out there, myself and our BDST legal counsel, Richie Davis. And we went out there with Virginia Tech when they went and beat Nebraska. Tyrod Taylor went nuts. But Matt Rule was a very good college football coach. I'm not going to judge a guy who he got enticed by the NFL. The NFL came to him as he built up Baylor. Carolina Panthers made their call on Matt Rule. It didn't work out, obviously. And now he's gone back to college. You know who else that happened to? The guy now who's considered by many, no matter what area you're talking about, as being the greatest college football coach of all time, Nick Saban. Who had a very successful college run, got enticed, went to the NFL, went to Miami, and it just wasn't a fit for him. The NFL is not a fit for all these guys. It happens. And I think Matt Rule's probably, I don't want people walking away saying, did you hear Rick compare Matt Rule to Nick Saban? No. But I think he's a very good college football coach. And he's at a place that has arguably the most genuine fan base of anybody in the country. Richie and I were out there, and, Tech had just beaten Nebraska. Had a big crowd. And we were hanging out after the game. We got invited to some other people's post-game tailgates. And they were still tailgating even after the loss. And all any of them said was how much respect they had for Virginia Tech and Frank Beamer. Of course, Frank Beamer was very close with Tom Osborne, who was the AD at the time out in Lincoln. And nobody said, oh, y'all got lucky. Wow, y'all didn't got. No, they all had a lot of respect for the players, for the program. Matter of fact, they said, you know what, we hope that we can get a coach in here, get this program getting back so we can be like Virginia Tech and be a contender every year. That's what they were saying. Not one negative vibe. I don't remember one negative comment. So Matt Rule's got that backing. If they get off to any kind of a start at all, that place is going to continue to build and build and build. And I don't know. I don't want to just be openly critical of the Big Ten because I know it's a league. Look, they're the power broker league they're the co-power broker with the SEC. I'm not, and I know Ohio State and Penn State and Michigan, they've each won national titles here recently, except for Penn State. And I know they have 5 teams in the top 25. This isn't dogging them at all. And I'm not trying to come across that way. But I don't get openly excited to watch a Big Ten game. Ohio State is a little different. Does that make sense? You know what I'm saying? And I'm not dogging any of these programs at all. I don't want people to think that. But, you know, when you sit down, you're going to watch. I mean, Oregon has made it exciting because they bring that wide open, kind of that West Coast feel a little bit to it, and they've been immediately successful in the league. And they're the third highest ranked Big Ten team of the 6. I think I said 5. I meant 6. You know, but Purdue, and I know Tech's played Rutgers. They don't this year. UCLA and USC hasn't fit in yet. They can't win there. Washington had their good year playing for the title, but they faded out. So I think the 4 Pac-10 teams has added a lot. You know, when you watch Wisconsin play Minnesota, you don't get excited. When you watch Iowa play, well, anybody, it's hard to get excited. You know, Maryland still feels like an ACC team to me. You know, they were so smart. You're not going to hear one person who represents Maryland say they made a mistake. You know, they're not going to say that they made any mistake whatsoever going to the Big Ten. Still doesn't feel right. And I wish Maryland would work harder to consistently play Virginia Tech and Virginia and West Virginia. I miss all those regional games, you know, that we grew up with, a lot of us here. But the league, you know, Michigan State's fallen because they made a horrible coaching hire before, a couple coaches back. They haven't recovered. But Nebraska feels like, to me, with the way Matt Rule goes about offense and so forth, they would have a shot. You know, Illinois has kind of snuck up in there, but that's kind of what I'm saying. You can come up from the lower third of the Big Ten, put together a couple years, and you're there. I mean, you're there. I mean, you think about Illinois, the 4th highest ranked team in the Big Ten, Illinois. People expect Indiana to fall a little bit. Even Phil Steele said Indiana would probably fall a little bit. But that league is one, and what I'm trying to get to is Nebraska's kind of program that could win a few early and get on a little bit of a roll there. Yeah, I saw that, Matthew. Uniform police chiming in. Thanks. Welcome to the force. Yeah, Nebraska released their all-black uniforms over the weekend. The schools are still doing this, thinking, yeah, boy, we're cool. Now, they've always called their defense the black shirts, so they're going to defend it with that. But this whole thing about how – and I kept hearing the excuses before, well, the recruits really like the black uniform. None of that pertains anymore with the NIL. You know what recruits like? You know what color recruits like more than black uniforms? Green. That's the color they like more. They don't care what you're wearing if you're paying them the right amount to come play football for you. Come on. Like I said, all the years I did the tailgate show over in Blacksburg as Tech started to push their black uniforms. And so far, Brent Pry has not, which is great. I never saw anybody wearing a black Virginia Tech football jersey. So is it something that's actually effective? Is it something that people have just created in their mind that's needed? Everybody else is doing it. Well, if you're not selling the merch, if people aren't going out openly buying this stuff, why are you doing it? And you can't say you're doing it for recruits anymore. I don't think any recruits come into a place right now in a negotiation part. If you're trying to get him from another school to come play, and he's got 4 or 5 other suitors, I don't think he's judging it on whether or not you have a black uniform. It's one of the trends, along with the influx of the turf fields, that I've really not liked about college football, which you know already. Look, and you can say I'm old guy, which would be correct. You could say that I'm just that guy, get off my lawn. But Virginia Tech has no business wearing black. They have, I think, one of the most unique and good-looking color schemes in all of college athletics. I don't know why you would try to run from your identity. And like I said, if you think I'm wrong, if you like them, that's your choice. I'm not going to judge you on liking and whether you like them. But are you going out? If you have, what's a jersey now? $200? Okie Bob says yes, but you look slimmer. Say you go out and you're spending $200 on a jersey. I don't know what the cost. I'm not a jersey guy. I like when people buy them. I'm not that guy. But if you are, that's great. I'm not. Are you going to spend your money on a black jersey, or are you going to go out and buy one of the cool looking Virginia Tech maroon and orange trim jerseys? You tell me. I can't imagine if you're a Nebraska fan, you're going to go out and buy one of those. I saw those, Matthew, by the way. I've seen them. They're still revealing them. It's easy for schools that have black in their colors because, hey, we can just do this. Hey. But I don't get it. If you're doing it now, you're doing it because you just want to do it. I don't think there's any research, and I haven't done the research, but I'm going to say breaking news. If you do research for each of these schools that unveil these special black uniforms, in no way, shape, or form is it outselling what is the base uniform of your program. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I don't think I'm wrong. But I digress. See, Matthew, you just started pushing my buttons already. I don't want to see Nebraska in a black uniform. I want to see the red and white. I grew up watching them. The old wishbone. White helmet, red end, stripe, red jersey, white pant. Or white helmet, red end, stripe, white jersey, red pant. That's Nebraska football. Big day today, obviously. Today's the presentation of Whit Babcock. Talked to Germaine Ferrell a little bit about that. Jermaine's scheduled to join us coming up at 7. A lot of it's already public, but we're going to follow up this week with a lot of folks who are going to be paying close attention to that, and we'll see what the whole thing is, how it's going to be received. Will Tech be able to rise up? What are they, 10th monthly public schools? Mike Burnop joins us today. It's a big day. It's a big day. No, Wayne, the Padre creamsicle is not. No. By the way, because we've been telling you that special Padre Friday night crap that they've had for so many years, that sherbet-looking uniform for Friday home games is being thrown away. Being thrown away. Thank God. By the way, the Dodgers ended – I was all happy the Padres were in first when we started the program. They went to L.A. this weekend and got swept. They got absolutely dismantled by the Dodgers. So now the Padres can kind of go down and they'll have to struggle to make the postseason again in the wild card. They're done. They're not going to catch the Dodgers. Swept. You'd think, hey, we're on a roll. We're playing well. It's our big rival. You could at least pull out one game. Nah. Such is the life of Padres fan. This guy. Ooh. Hit us up on the McClellan Chiropractic chat room. A lot of people are. It's good to see people in there this morning. It's great. By the way, still learning about the whole complexity. I'm just a caveman after all of this whole YouTube thing. But I went back and added up. We had over 2,700 views of the 5 shows last week. And I want to thank everybody for that. Yeah, I think it's pretty good. I don't know. Maybe it's not. What do I think of the hand slap Michigan got? Not surprised, to be honest. Former coaching staff. They are not going to do a whole lot to a program just won the national title. I know they don't like Jim Harbaugh, but Jim Harbaugh is not there anymore. It's pretty typical of what we see out of what's going on with the powers that be and the whole sign stealing debacle. So not real surprised, to be honest. I wasn't expecting much, and we didn't get much out of everything that happened. Alex Guerra joins us coming up at 7:30. We'll talk some Radford University baseball. AG's building that program back from the ashes that were left behind. And year 3 was a big step in the right direction. And we'll talk to him about that. And then Mike Burnop today. Tomorrow's just an hour show because we have, like I said, the big all-day 7:45 onward meetings at Radford. We do it annually. So athletic department is in its entirety will be on campus tomorrow. So tomorrow, just the first hour, and we'll be back to the regular show the rest of the week. Okay? Just to hit you up on that and let you know what's going on. But I'd really appreciate all the folks who chimed in. I mean, that's, 2,700. I'm not great at math, but that's over 500 per show that are going in and watching. As always, though, we gotta build the subscriber base. I did make a QR code. That's right, Mr. Hip Technology guy. I did make a QR code. I put it up on the Facebook page, and you can take that with you. Just take a picture, I guess, or just show people there on the Facebook page, and you can just say, "Hey, hit this and subscribe." But you need subscribers. You need people to like. Leave comments in the videos as well. Those are the things that they look for. So help us out in that regard, and that would help us out tremendously. Again, massive sponsorship announcement that we made when we came on. But this program now brought to you by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. And we're very excited about that. We're going to get some copy in here soon, tell you about all the great things that they're doing. And we're going to have interviews with various representatives of Pulaski County Sports Entertainment. So thanks to Jonathan Sweet and thanks to Tim Miller and all the folks there for jumping on the program. We appreciate it greatly. New River Heating and Air, thank you so much for joining us this week as well. Go give Charles Lee a call. You have any problems, we're just coming out of the warm, about a month. We'll head into the fall. You're getting into the winter, and that's when you really need your heat units. You better get them updated. You better get them serviced. And those are the folks that you need to check out and get it done. So thank you so much, our sponsorship partners here on the program. The more the merrier, so hit me up. Again, your budget is my budget. We are broadcasting live here in Reiner from the Family Fencing Studios. They have a no-dig installation system. Beautiful fences, no big holes, no mess to your lawn. Locally owned fence experts here in the NRV Southwest Virginia. They use vinyl, wood, aluminum, chain link. They do commercial, residential, agricultural. They have finance options available, and you can get your free quote. Call Family Fencing 540-200-8294. Visit familyfencingnrv.com, and you see that on the bottom of the screen right now. So thanks to those folks. And continue to hit us up on the McClellan Chiropractic Hotline. All right, joining us now on the program, as we've been talking about, and we're very excited that Germaine Ferrell joins us here from WFXR in week number 2. If you remember, last Monday, Germaine was our first guest. He kicked off the new show. So how you doing, Germaine? Hope you had a good weekend, man.
I'm doing good, sir. How is the awesome Rick Watson?
I don't know about that. He's doing okay. Week 2. We got the week 2,
you're
man.
speaking in third person now? Is that what?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Rick Watson not doing great. No, he's doing fine.
You get a show back on the air. You speaking in third person?
Yeah, I'm speaking in the third person now. But got through the weekend. Dropping off the youngins. So next, I'm an empty nester now. So here we go.
I mean, I know you got emotional, I'm sure,
I
dropping off. I mean, that's a special occasion to drop off your son to school, UVA-wise. And, I mean, he's gone through a lot, but this is another great milestone. And, it's big for you, but it's big for him, too.
It is. It is. Man, we got a lot going on, Jermaine. High school football in about a week. Got the foundation games this weekend, and I know how much fun those are, right? I mean, that's kind of, in most cases, not in all cases, but in most cases, right? That's when coaches are saying, let's line this thing up and see what we got, right?
Yeah, it is. And then we also got a real big thing is actually we got some VHSL teams starting, North Cross, Roanoke Catholic, and all those schools. They really get their season started on Friday too. So they start. But then Saturday is a big game at Emory and Henry. Lord Botetourt starts their season a little early. They start playing a Saturday game this Saturday. They play Rye Cove. Of course, a team we all are familiar with, Rye Cove, a team that Grayson County knocked off in the playoffs to get to the VHSL championship game. And then, obviously, Lord Botetourt. And the reason why is I was speaking with Lord Botetourt during our media days, Coach Jamie Harless. Now, Jamie Harless's mother is, and his whole family is that neck of the woods. And his mother is, going through some health things. So he wanted to schedule a game down in that area so she could watch him play. And they had to get permission from the VHSL to actually get this game start earlier than normal. So it was pretty cool for the VHSL to do that. So they'll have like too many bye weeks during the season, but it's great that the VHSL could help out Coach Harless and the crew down there. So that's pretty cool. So they'll be the first one to really get it started under the VHSL.
I like that a lot. That's cool. You're right. To see people working with other programs, that's cool. I'm glad to see that we can still have that as part of today's society. It doesn't seem to happen as often as it needs to. That's good news. That's good to hear.
By the way, I like your shirt. That's what's that? That Radford shirt. Y'all got the old.
Yeah. That's our Highlander logo. That's my favorite of all the new. We rebranded several years ago. Corey Duran, our associate AD, did a great job. But this is our secondary logo, man. I'm liking that.
Cool.
That's our guy.
Yeah. So it's now. Is that a black shirt?
No, it's not. That would be a navy blue
black?
shirt. No. We're not going to be wearing black at Radford. Let's hope.
Oh, I know. Well, my bad. I know how you feel about black shirts. That's not the traditional color. It looks black. That's not black.
No, it's a navy blue. I can see the lighting in here. It's
the lighting.
yeah, it is. It's not very good in here. But anyway. So also, it's a big day for Whit Babcock. I mean, right? I mean, you guys have been covering a lot on WFXR. This is there's going to be a lot of info coming out, man. This is throwing everything at you, and you hope that you get a good response, right?
Well, I mean, again, we're talking about college athletics, and it's almost like you got to spend money to make the money. So basically, in essence, he's giving all the details on what's going on from a money standpoint. Okay, this is what it is, and looking at some of the previews, it's a telling piece of information. I mean, I think he has over 75 slides or PowerPoint. I thought my PowerPoint, when we did our Blitz preview meeting, I had 15 slides. That's nothing. That's nothing compared, Rick, to what he's got. But that's but it's the way of the world right now. I mean, you got so much going on. There's so much money involved. And you would think that the money they have is a lot, but compared to other schools, it's not a lot. So, there's a lot of things that need to be done. And, in order to keep up with the Joneses, this is what we're going to have to do. And Whit Babcock's presenting that today. And, the Board of Visitors, they got to look at what's going on with that and all that. So it's a big day, and we'll see how it all plays out. I mean, I think the Board of Visitors know, hey, we are going to have to do something, but at the end of the day, it's kind of like, hey, you want to go and do something, but you got to look and see where you are money-wise. So that's a big thing, and he's been talking about that, through other outlets, but this is where the rubber meets the road.
What's your opinion about? I don't know the answers, so how did Tech fall so far behind? It just feels like they're down there at the lowest of the public schools in the league in terms of the revenue and what their budget. I just wonder how it all settled in that way for them,
Well, I mean, you can't run your college program in the manner that you used to. And this, you're in college athletics. Yeah. Just take 10 years ago. Let's go like roughly 10 years ago.
Right.
you can't. I mean, you used to be just by obligation. You would recruit. You say, "Hey, come to my school. This is what we could offer you as far as facilities and a scholarship and all that." But nowadays, it's like, okay, how much can you pay me to go to your school? Like, what you go in there, and it's not like kids go to a school out of obligation. They go because what's the biggest bag you can give me? So that has added to it. And then the NCAA lawsuits, and then there's no NCAA governing what you can spend and how you can do that. It's kind of like, a salary cap. Think about this. In the NFL, you have a salary cap. NBA, you have a salary cap. Major League Baseball, you can just spend as much as you want. But there's a point where you have to. There's owners, they're going to put their own salary cap in. So that's really the thing is, and that's how it's changed. It's more about money now. It's more about, okay, you're not going to a school just because maybe your parents went there, or maybe because that. And then, you look at over the last decade, Virginia, Tech has had its peaks and valleys when it comes to football. I mean, they haven't been, I think this was like back in the earlier regime of Coach Beamer, say from the mid 90s all the way through the 2000s, like that 15-year stretch. It wouldn't be a problem with money, because if they had that success then that they would have had now, then the money would be flowing in. And even though money is coming in when it comes to football, I mean, when you have an opportunity here, you got that. So that's really the biggest thing with that, Rick, is like, the landscape has changed. That's what that's what Whit Babcock has said. The landscape of college athletics has changed. And then one big thing that people thought was a great idea when it happened, but now it's kind of like an albatross. I hope I'm using a big word. I'm using a 4-letter word. Is that ACC media grant of rights deal? I mean, think about this. People thought, oh, it's a 20-year deal and it's going to be great. It's going to give the league stability. And now you got leagues in their third or fourth deal right now. And in the ACC, we still have to wait till 2036. I mean, I'm going to be, 62? I'm going to be in my 60s before the ACC gets another deal.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like they thought, oh, it's a 20-year deal and it's going to be great. But I think they didn't think about the fact that, okay, maybe, we could have more deals. I mean, the SEC is getting big time money. The Big Ten is getting big time money.
Yes.
The Big 12 is getting big time money. And the ACC, they're trying to piece it all together, but it's still not the same as the other schools. And that's where there's separation when an SEC school can get like twice as much as an ACC school. That's why you had like your Florida States and your Clemsons. So they're trying to change the revenue model based off of ratings and attendance and all that. So that's really the big thing is. And if a school wants to spend the money, what can they do? So that's really where it all hits. I mean, there's just so many factors that led to schools and conferences being where they are, to where, okay, it's a struggle. So that's really where you hit the road there.
Germaine Ferrell joining us on the program, the sports director at WFXR. We're just jumping around talking about a myriad of topics here in the sport.
Drinking water, by the way.
That's okay. That's good. That's healthy.
I gotta drink water. Stay healthy. Gotta keep the pipes going.
I know. That's great. That's great.
And by the way, congratulations on your sponsorship there at Pulaski County.
Yeah. It's good stuff. Good people up there. And you travel with WFXR. You're everywhere. You've been up to Kenneth J. Dobson Stadium, Joel Hicks Field a lot. You know the area. I mean, it's great to see. I tell you.
Remember, and you're a Pulaski County guy. Like I said before, the only time they mow that stadium is January the 1st and December 31st. That's twice a year. And I say that in love with all the Pulaski Cafes. I say it all the time. They laugh all the time because they know it's true. And real quick, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, we talk, we deal with a lot of, primarily maybe with high school football, with all that. But, Coach Norm Lindenberg,
yes,
you had a great relationship with him, obviously, but it was so neat. I tell you, some of the times I met up with him, especially when Chris got the Radford job, seeing seeing Dave Chris and Norm Lindenberg in the same spot, two rivals that became great friends over the years, but to see what Norm Lindenberg has done. I mean, I call the Radford program kind of like the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like since the 70s, they've only had 3 head coaches. So
yes.
That is like the model of stability, but it started with Norm Lindenberg. I mean, he gave Coach, Frank Beamer his first shot, and the influence he had on so many people, and talking to his sons and what they've meant. Look at his, he has sons that were sons that are college coaches and high school coaches and athletic directors at colleges. So his footprint and his hands have been over a lot of stuff. Has impacted a lot of young people, and he's been such a blessing. He was a blessing, still is to so many people. So I just want to, give a shout out to Coach Norm Lindenberg, an awesome coach. And, he's in that category, all these great coaches that we used to watch over the days on, Friday Football Extra.
Absolutely.
And even beyond. I mean, you played for a legendary coach in Joel Hicks. And it was like these coaches, like these iconic coaches, Joel Hicks and Norm Lindenberg and Dave Chris and Winford Beale and, Coach Ragsdale and, Coach Shirley Stewart and Coach Jim Hickam and Willis White and Bo Henson. I can go on, Alger Pugh and all these other legendary coaches. And you see them, and now it's like we're in a new era of coaches now. Like we got pretty much coaches, like I said, Kelly Lowe, like his dad took over at Narrows in the mid 90s. Well, actually 91. So we've had a Lowe at Narrows since 90. And then,
30 years, 35 years.
Yeah. So you got Kelly Lowe, who's been there going on the Michael Jordan number, his 23rd year, and with tenure. And then, obviously, Frank Rocco at LCA, 20 years. Kevin Clifford.
Wow.
Well, over 2 stints. Now, keep in mind,
awesome.
Stepped away. His son
still, though, that's good. Yeah, Kevin Clifford. How many years is it for him at Glenver?
This is his 19th year, but he's been coaching north of 20 years overall at Glenver, and he's turned that into a great program. So you got coaches that have, have been there for a while and done. Alan Fiddler is going into his 15th year at Patrick Henry.
Wow.
And then if you add up all the terms with Brad Bradley, he's been coaching north of 20 years. He's at Heritage. He's coached at Amelia and Patrick Henry and William Campbell, won state championship. So you got a lot of coaches that have been doing it for a while. And then you got some of the youngins. Like I said, we in our area, Rick, we have 13 new coaches. 13.
Well, and I like that. I mean, I'm glad to see there's so many people, Jermaine, you covered. It's so much difficult today. So much more difficult to be a coach. It's just so hard, whether you're talking about the politics, the way the kids are, taught to look at authority, the way parents get, whatever it might be. And I like to hear that in terms of, young people wanting to dive back in and maybe they can start their own legacy. So I think that's a good thing anyway. Yeah.
And then the thing is, some of the coaches, that have left, they left for various reasons, family, they want to spend, because if you have a little kids, a lot of these coaches have little kids, now. So it's almost like they're making family decisions. It's like, okay, I want to spend more time with my family. Nothing wrong with that. But a lot of times, and Rick, this, a lot of these coaches, they spend more time with their teams than their own families. So eventually you have to make a decision. You have to say to yourself, okay, what's important? So a lot of these coaches, they're getting out, want to spend more time with their family. Then they get back in. And then another coach, I'll be remiss without saying this, Jack Baker, he's coached everywhere. It seems like he's going back home to James River, where his dad was the head coach and athletic director back in the 60s. So
really?
Yeah. I mean, so there's so much history. A lot of these coaches are coaching at their alma mater, and that's been, Rick, that's been their dream job. A lot of these coaches that are back in our, they're coaching, they say, okay, my dream job is to be the head football coach of my alma mater. And that's
that's right.
If you can do that. But there's so many great coaches, and we'll see how they all play out. Some are in rebuilding mode. Some are taking over a program that's had some success, and others are just, getting that first shot. And I know it's got to be nervous. I talked to some of the coaches that have been the head coach for the first time. There's stuff they didn't realize. There's a lot of administration when it comes to coaching.
That's right. No, that's right.
Because you can't. I mean, you're like a CEO. I mean, you have to, like, when you're an assistant coach, you just deal with the positions, you do all that. Now, some head coaches help these assistants become head coaches because they give them, okay, these are the things you got to look out for when you're a head coach. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to see that, and obviously these coaches, boy, I tell you, God bless them, because like I said, Rick, they put in a lot of hours for not a lot of money.
I know.
And they deal with a lot from all ends, fans, parents, players, all that. But I will tell this to the parents and the administration. Trust your coaches, because these coaches know what's going on. And okay, on our Friday night, you might not have success, but trust them, because these coaches know what's going on. And you know, I think they do a great job, and they do the best job they can under the circumstances.
Yeah, 100%. And I echo that. I know when I played, and I remember my dad would say, because I grew up working on a farm, and I got excused from that during football, right? And he said, look, don't bring it home to me. Don't come home complaining. You got a problem, talk to your coaches, right? If you got a problem, you're probably not working hard enough. Yeah. And I remember that thinking, I can't imagine that mindset being something today that is prevalent. You know, it was just, you go out and earn it. You're part of the program. You earn it. You'll be okay. And I think that's a message that we lose that a lot today, at least it seems that way, which is why we have so many reports, and I won't get into details about all the interference and things that go on, but yes. You're right. Trust, I like it. I whatever, Jermaine, I echo that 100%. Trust these people. They're not going to go out, especially in today with the microscope. They're going to have the best interest, I think, of your kids in mind. Yeah. I'm
just trying to picture you on the farm, a little Rick Watson on the farm, a little Ricky Watson. You know, there was an episode of Quantum Leap I just saw as a repeat where Sam.
Quantum Leap. Oh, yes, wow. I love Quantum
That's a great show. Now, they did a great show. They did a remake, which wasn't that good recently.
No.
But anyway, you can't. I hate when they remake shows. But
it's terrible.
There was an episode of Sam leaping back home as his younger self. And he was working on the farm, and he was telling his dad about cholesterol and eating healthy and not smoking cigarettes and trying to protect his brother from dying.
Right.
And, you know, he sang like a John Lennon song called "We're Beatles," John Lennon, Imagine. And everybody's like, well, that song hasn't been made yet. We didn't hear this. But he was on a farm, and he was talking about milking the cow and picking corn and all that. And it kind of, when you talked about the farm, that just kind of reminded me of little Ricky Watson out there.
Oh, my gosh. You learned a lot about life. You learned a lot about life. But the thing about it kept me in shape for football.
Yeah, yeah. You're picking all these big bales of hay. I mean,
absolutely. And we're talking about the square bales of hay. I talked about this with Rod Shelburne last week. We didn't have the round bales. No. Yeah. You're grabbing one of those big 75-pound bales of hay, and with each hand you're chucking it up in the truck, and you're throwing it up in the barn loft,
and
right?
That's the reason why the Pulaski County Cougars had that size on the line, because they were all farmers.
Absolutely.
I'm telling you, I remember, like I said, with Pulaski County, and this is the thing you're going to get beef, and you're going to get size. The thing is, not only were the offensive and defensive linemen so fast with Pulaski County back in the day, they were big, and the skill players were fast, deceptively fast. You wouldn't think that they would be that fast.
I know. The weight room, that's what set Coach Hicks' program apart from everything, was what he brought with him from West Virginia. Yes. We didn't have that at the time. You know that. Anywhere around here, you didn't have the kind of weight room training that Coach Hicks brought to the table. Very quickly, programs implemented it. They would go up and visit. We got to get that, and they would get it. But that's what really got his program going, really, from year one on, was the weight room.
And that's the thing. I mean, when you look at program, even today, that's still the blueprint. You got to have the offensive line. You got to have size. You got to be able to protect the court, because that's where it all starts. You know, that's the only. All the plays you can always have contact. Offensive and defensive linemen, you're going to have contact.
Right. That's right.
And you can't have success unless you have a good offensive line and a good defensive line. You got to get after the quarterback, and you have to block. And if you can't do those things, you're not going to have success. So that's
not going to win.
That's how it works. That's the only way you're going to win. I mean, that's the root of it. And when I go visit the practices, it doesn't matter if it's the little kids, if it's the high schoolers, the middle school, college, pro. It starts with the mono al mono, offensive line versus defensive line.
Absolutely. It's always in the trenches, man. Always in the trenches.
Just
What
like
I know for
you're
exactly. You're in the trenches every morning. But listen, I know you're going to be covering. You're going to have the aftermath of today. You want to watch what happens with the reaction of today's big presentation, everything else leading up to the first weekend of college football, and of course, foundation weekend before high school football. It's always WFXR, of course, the Hardy's Friday Night Blitz, and they have you update on everything else. And I said this last week, and I mean it. I don't say things I don't mean. I'm not that guy. So if you're going to find out what's going on in high school football, you're watching Germaine. I'm sorry. That's just where we are. They are now the new Friday football place to be. So,
well, let me tell you something, Rick. I appreciate your kind words. And your shows, like I said, there's a reason why hundreds, if not thousands of people are reaching out to you to watch your show, whether it's live in the morning. And I think what you're doing now with this, and I'm not blowing smoke up yourself there, this outlet is going to really enhance you, because what's going to happen is people can watch you now, and they can watch you anytime they want, because it's going to be on the YouTube and the
absolutely
Facebook. So it's not like it's the days of appointment stuff, whether it's TV, radio, picking up the newspaper, are gone. I mean, now it's like, okay, I want to watch it when I watch it. So we have a podcast or whatever. This is what's going to help you. And I think you're going to really take this thing and run with it. You're going to run like a Joel Hicks sweep play, to the outside, scoring a touchdown, Cougars. Rick Watson.
Cougars. Well, I appreciate that. And if the show grows, it's going to be because of the wonderful audience, but it's also going to be because of guests like yourself. So appreciate it, man. And have a great week. Looking forward to talking with you next week. And man, we're in reviewing the first weekend, and then we're previewing high school and college football. Amazing.
We'll have a lot of big games. We'll get into those games. And like I said, it's going to be, because like I said, what's neat real quick about high school football, we got new schedules because the 2-year cycle. So you're going to have matchups that we haven't seen, in years, or matchups that are back in play. And we'll talk about all that good stuff because we're on the Big Dog Sports Talk with Rick Watson. And real quick, shout out to my beautiful wife, Yolanda Ferrell. She does a great job, basically keeping me in line. So
Tough job.
I know. She's underpaid for taking care of me. So gotta tighten her up. But yeah, I appreciate my beautiful wife, Yolanda. She's awesome and a blessing. And everyone in my family, and give blessings and praise to everyone out there, including you, Rick, and everyone in the Big Dog Sports Talk Galaxy.
Well, man, I appreciate it, and I want you to have a great week, and we'll talk again next week, man. It's game week. It's football game week.
We'll get it. Thank you.
There you go. Thanks, man. There you go. Jermaine Ferrell from WFXR joining us on the program. We appreciate him. Great stuff, as always, from Jermaine. Coming up in just a little bit, we're going to segue out of Germaine and talk some Radford baseball with the head coach, Alex Guerra. Hit us up in the McClellan chat. Many of you communicate that way. You can always hit us up on the BDST text line. Don't forget now, I've also got a fan question of the week. There's no wrong or right answer. Brought to you by Ryan Pry, attorney, 701 West Main Street in Radford. Why is your favorite football team your favorite football team? It can either be the NFL team or it can be the collegiate team. Whichever one. And just send me that either via text line. You can put it in the chat. You can hit me up on Messenger, Facebook page, and then we're just going to read them and go through them. And that was a great idea. It was actually Ryan's idea to do the BDST fan question of the week. I like that. That's fun. So just hit me up this week at some point, and we'll read them back, and we'll talk about those as well. Along with now being presented by the Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment, Jonathan Sweet and his crew, we want to welcome Little River Heating and Air to the program. Thank you so much. Check them out, 1095 Radford Street in Christiansburg. Charles Lee and his crew are terrific. I mean, I don't know about you, but I get stressed as hell when I know that my things like your air and heat units are just winding down. And I guess I'd had mine way too long. And, one day it happened, man, the dreaded thing. You hear the noise and then you realize it's just stopped. It's done. And mine, of course, had help from Mother Nature apparently because we had a thunderstorm and they got struck by lightning. I was gone with Radford basketball. I came back and they weren't working properly. You kind of smelled something, and neighbor told me, there was a lightning strike and we heard it hit somewhere over in your yard. And I was like, what? So I come back and I'm in panic mode because, it was still, the weather was still a little colder then. And I didn't have any heat. So I just called up Charles and Little River Heating and Air, and they came over and they took care of it very quickly, said, hey, this is what you should get for your money. Worked with the insurance company, had it, and it was taken care of in just a matter of days. And once everything got in, then they ordered everything. They were there all day. They came in the morning. I came back. They were gone. There was no sign of them being anywhere in your yard or and everything was working. So there you go. And that's the kind of service that you can get as well from those folks. So again, special thanks to Pulaski County Sports Entertainment and also to Little River Heating and Air. Thanks to Germaine Ferrell. Now, again, coming up at 8 today will be Mike Burnop, because tomorrow is only an hour program because I have the mandatory meeting at RU, and we're on campus all day with the president and all those folks, and we kind of rotate around each little section of our department. So tomorrow's only the first hour. Maybe if things are going well throughout the day, maybe I'll just maybe I'll come on and like jump on. Maybe that'll be our first test into an evening stream just for fun, separate from the full morning regular show. And there are going to be some things that we have separate from this show that'll be on the channel, Big Dog Sports Talk. It won't just be the live show here from 6 to 8:30 every morning. See, that's what we were just talking about, Jermaine. Flexibility, you can do whatever you want. And I know it's going to happen on a Saturday, college football Saturday. I might be talking to somebody, hey, you just want to go live? Let's go live. Let's go. Let's go live. Rick After Dark. Rick After Dark. Here is Misty joining us on the program. Misty. Probably not a Rick After Dark. Maybe we'll call it something like that football-wise, After Dark. But, yeah, people are digging the fan question of the week. Just send me your responses. Probably the best way to do that would be through the text line, because the chat room gets cleaned out after every day. Now, you can go back during that show and see what people chatted about. And like I said, thanks, everybody, for the great opening week. I mean, we opened this bad boy up, and we had about almost 2,800 views. Yeah. For the live show and for the stream show last week. And thanks to the guests as well. And what Jermaine said, to echo that, it's all there. If you go to the channel, Big Dog Sports Talk with Rick Watson, everything is there and it's populated. You can just go and find the interview you want. And what's great about going back and watching it later is that you can fast forward it. Oh, he's getting ready to interview this person. Oh, let's go to that. That's what I wanted to see. And that's the option that this gives you that you didn't ever have before. And now you don't have to wait on getting to a certain section. If you're listening to just audio, sometimes you have to just sit there and listen to that. Okay, well, he'll get to it eventually. And when he does, that's when when we hear him start talking to that person about that, that's when we'll join in. We don't have to do that anymore now with the new YouTube show. So thanks to Jermaine. We have Mike Burnop coming up in just a little bit, and that'll be how we finish up today. As we've been previewing, joining us now on the program is he's getting settled in and ready to go. He is the head baseball coach. Hey, look at you, Radford University. It's Alex Square. AG, good morning, brother. How are you?
Good morning, Rick. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. You okay?
Yeah.
You good, man? I like that hat. That's it. Talk about that. That's new. You guys developed that, didn't you?
Yeah. Christian, our pitching coach, Coach Bourne, he he saw something on Instagram, Twitter, one of the local shops around here, and they came up with a logo, and that was the end of it.
No,
I'm having a bad hair day this morning, so I just threw the hat on.
I'm lucky. I just shaved mine, make it even more thin, so it works out good for me.
I can't do it yet. I'm working hard to try to continue to salvage stuff. Yeah, if any of my former teammates are listening to this, they're going to probably wear me out about it, especially
they
one
probably will.
Yeah, he'll tell me to. He's been telling me to get rid of it for years. But anyways.
Hey, taking people behind the curtain, this is cool because I was thinking about it going into the weekend. We're going to get into it. Coach Guerra made a huge announcement about his staff, but I was thinking it'd be great to have him on now to talk about all these things. And then I reached out yesterday. I went by him on Saturday. So it's Sunday midday. And he said, well, I'm doing my car. I'm getting detailed. So this is what's great about being here. Now you can get your car taken care of. And he wasn't going to be able to come on. But now it's like, oh, I don't have to go anywhere, right? No, you don't have to go anywhere.
When I was texting that to you, I was like, man, this is such like a dog ate my homework excuse. Like, and the timing of it too, right? Like, really, dude, like you're getting your car detailed at 7:30 in the morning. Like, if you don't want to come on the show, then just tell me.
Just tell me,
but
man.
It's definitely, but that was definitely not the case. And when the guy said he could come here, it was like, oh, well, that's perfect. And I didn't realize now with the studio, regardless of where the show is, that you can do it. Now we're doing it online, so it's great.
You can just do it. You can just do it. Well, congratulations to you. I mean, year 3 is when I know you kind of expect to take that jump, and my goodness, and I'm not going to sugarcoat this at all. You get to Radford, your alma mater, the place was in ashes, not by your doing. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. It's close to the program. I don't know any other way to say it. You had to be patient. You knew first year was going to be what it was, right? You were very competitive in spite of all the things that you had to go up against. You saw that get even better in year 2, and then here you are this year. You culminated in a 500 record. You guys are right there in the upper half of the Big South all year. Anybody who comes out to our beautiful stadium, Williams Field, you see it, and you see how your team plays and the camaraderie. I mean, it's getting there, isn't it, for you after 3 years? You were starting to get into Alex Guerra's vision for this program now.
Yeah, I really do think, and if you told me in year 4 we'd have 19 returners back, we'd finish a game and a half out of second place, and having a lot of those guys that were key contributors for our team back, going into year 4 with the portal, we were, we were really lucky with the lack of guys going into the portal, as far as from guys being on the field. And I think we're right on track. Winning's hard.
Yes.
Winning is hard. It takes some time, especially when you have new people in your program and there's a certain way you want to do things, a certain way you want to go about your business. And, but yeah, I'm extremely proud of our players. I mean, it's all about them, always is. I mean, they've just done a great job. Even last year, I mean, you look at some of the injuries that we had on the mound, and forcing guys to be put in certain roles that they weren't ready for. But they shined, and they got better quick because they had no choice. And I thought we did a nice job of, I thought CB did a really good job of making the adjustments that he needed to make in the middle part of the year when all those injuries were starting to happen. Positionally, we started to develop a real identity of just tough, competitive players, and guys stepped up. I mean, I don't have to go down every single guy here, right? But I mean, we had some really, really, special leaders on that team last year that really enhanced what it meant to be a part of this culture and this program, and can be more excited about the guys coming back and the new ones coming in. I think this is, you look on paper, and paper means really nothing, but when you're preparing your team and you're recruiting and you're looking at the things that you need in this season of recruiting, right? In this, this behind, off the field preparation. Yeah. I mean, you could look at it and say, this is our best team on paper, 100%. And hopefully each year is our best team, right? That's the ultimate goal and the ultimate challenge. But
right.
The expectations for this team this year they're high and they're real.
Alex Guerra joining us on the program, the head baseball coach at Radford University, heading into year 4 coming up with Alex. And speaking of that, and the way you have to replenish your roster, I think folks are familiar with how it is nowadays with football and basketball. It's a totally different thing now with baseball, right? You have to go about this and approach this a little differently because most baseball programs don't have the budget, the aforementioned 2 other sports. So I just think about James Ward, for instance. You scouted, you found a guy who came in, and what a blessing he was. And that was a guy who was here. He knew he was going to have 1 year left. He came in, and he was a Highlander. You know, he wasn't just here. He was a Highlander. And talk about that and the challenges that the new environment of college sports creates for baseball programs like yours and finding the best players and understanding, you know, you don't have the luxury of certain amounts of dollars and so forth.
No, 100%. I think it's a challenge if you don't have some type of blueprint and some type of plan kind of going into it, and what are the expectations out of the portal for you, right? Like, you know, the reality of it is that we're not going to be the University of Tennessee out of the portal, where we're going to go and get the player of the year in 3 to 4 mid to high major conferences and have the National Junior College Player of the Year, and we're going to sit back and kind of wait for people to come to you. And obviously a budget of that, you know, of what they have is they're able to go out and get what they want, right? And obviously everybody would love to have that, but we don't have it, and it's fine. It is what it is. We have a specific type of kid that we want to look for in, you know, out of the portal. Relationships in the past recruiting are extremely important. Production from previous schools is important. You look at Wardy. I mean, Wardy was a career 300 hitter throughout his time, you know, his previous institutions, and with some power numbers. And you produced, and he had game experience, and then when you get on the phone with him, you realize that just in that particular situation, like, you understand that he's a special kid, got his own business, got his own LLC, just wants an opportunity, you know, just looked over his entire career. And then you get here and you're like, man, we got a pretty special player. Pretty quick. And there is some luck involved. Like, there's some luck involved in getting a Hunter Keene. You know, obviously we got him from the junior college arena, but look, at the end of the day with recruiting, it's whether it's a high school kid or a portal, but especially with the portal, you know, it can be a huge gamble, but you're going to make less mistakes if you stick to what it is that you're looking at.
Right.
And you have an exact idea of what you want to go after, as opposed to just flipping an offer. Like, you got to really work hard to try to get to know these kids and understand where they came from, and see if you can get these guys that have produced. And I think that you look back at the Connor Butlers, the Carson Bells, the James Wards, you know, these guys produced. You know, they produced at their previous schools, and they've helped Scott Rouse. You know, they've made a huge impact in our program as portal guys.
Well, and something else that's going to help along those lines of fact, and congratulations to you. And I know you're a humble guy. You don't want to totally get into it, but you got a contract extension, and that means, you know what, you're going to be there. So you're committed to it, and people know you're going to be there. That's got to help, because a lot of kids will be like, well, what happens if coach wins 40 games and they go to, well, no, you're going to be there now. You got a contract. So that's great, man. Congratulations to you. And then that's got to be something I know you can take with you when you're out on the road now.
Yeah, 100%. I think anytime there's a commitment of that length to a program, it says a lot about the stability and the foundation that we've all built here, right? And that starts with our assistant coaches, that goes down to our players, and that's our administration. Very thankful for Robert and President Brett and Corey and everybody else in that hallway that supports us and cares about our players, cares about our program, pushing it forward. All of our wonderful baseball alums and supporters that are constantly pushing this program forward, whether it be monetarily, whether it be on social media, whether it be just the word of mouth. Maybe I'm just naive and I have blinders to it, right? And I try to just push away all the negativity, or if there is any negativity. But out of all the schools that I worked and the positions I've been in, I mean, the the positivity that we've had from our alums has been just so special. And it's a big, big motivating piece of why every single day we want to do everything we possibly can to put this team in a position to win a championship. And it does help that, yes, I am one of them, right? In a different way. I say this all the time, like, this is my program, not from like, I'm sitting here, I'm the head coach, you work for me, you play for me. No,
no.
It's my program of like, I have a small share of like everybody else that's put on the uniform and played here.
Yeah.
Right? So when you have that little extra pride and sense of responsibility that, it's important that we're continuing to push this thing in the right direction. And, but it's hard, when you're 10-45, it's hard to stand up there and not think like, man, what's this guy doing?
Right.
Dude, that's the truth. Right. Like, but the constant positive messages when things are not going great have led us up to this point. And we just want to continue to make people proud of this place. And extremely thankful. Those contracts are they're hard to get. These jobs are hard to get. Right? There's not that many of them in the country.
No.
I've been blessed and fortunate to be not only at a great place, but a place that I played at and be around people that really care about our program, and just very thankful.
You mentioned the alumni support, and I don't want to use the word surprise because I know it doesn't surprise you, but the reminders that you get constantly. I mean, of all of our programs, I think about people that come back and they support and they talk about base. I mean, it's hard to find a more passionate group of alumni than former players.
No, it's overwhelming at times, to be honest. It's in a good way. In a good way. Like the emails that I've gotten, and the texts and the calls, and people coming and supporting us at visiting venues all up and down the East Coast, no matter where we're at, and just the constant encouragement and positivity when you're building.
Yeah.
And I think that when you have a group like that, they support you, there's a genuine love between both sides of it. And they understand where this program's at, where it's going, and what we need to do to get to that point of where we want to be. It makes the expectations realistic, and it makes the support that mean that much more. So I'm excited to see them. We're having a huge alumni weekend this year, October 10th and 11th. We're going to honor the 2015 championship team. This is the 10-year. It's a 10-year anniversary of that special team.
It is.
Yep.
But walking off the field at Coastal Carolina. I mean, we were at Gardner Webb beating Coastal Carolina at the title game. Yeah.
Gardner Webb. Yeah.
Whoa.
That's back when I was an assistant. You were doing interviews with Joe by the pool.
Yeah. That's right. We were doing interviews by the pool. Well, why not? We'd earned it. We were movie stars. We got the dub.
It was great, man. So we're going to honor that team. We're going to have a golf tournament on that Friday. We're going to play Patrick Henry Community College in one of our fall games, then have a little dinner at night in the Cyrus Center. So
very cool.
Anybody that's listening or watching, and please join us. We got sign-up links ready to go, so we're excited about it. It's going to be a great weekend.
All right, we'll spread the word here as well. And before we let you go, Coach, you're talking about improvements that you've made and heading into the next stage. And I know you had a major announcement in terms of additions to your coaching staff. And can you talk about Brandon Romans, what he brings, and why this was so vital to get him on your staff?
Well, I've known Brandon for 15 years. I shared an office with him back in 2000 and my goodness, let's see, from fall of 2011 to that's spring of 13 or whatever it was. Regardless, we spent a year together at UCF, and he was the volunteer assistant. He was the third assistant at the time. I was the director of baseball. It was my first job in baseball, and we shared an office. Wouldn't even really call it an office, more of a cubicle, I guess,
Yes.
whatever it was. And it's probably about half the size of his office right now. I turn and he's standing right there, and we, man, just in all seriousness, just a special guy, loyal, hardworking, a relentless recruiter, does an unbelievable job with developing relationships with current and former players. He's a winner. I mean, he's been to regionals with 3 different schools. Coached it all up and down the East Coast, from University of Pittsburgh down to University of Central Florida. Has coached a tremendous amount of guys that have gone on to play at the next level. Like I said, been to 3 regionals with 3 different schools. That's hard to do.
It is.
That's hard to do. And he's got a great recruiting base. He's going to do an unbelievable job at the junior college level. With all those JUCO guys in Florida. And I will say, I would like to say this as well. Like Beach, Tanner, he did an unbelievable job for us last year. Having an opportunity to go to JMU, obviously, you can't pass it up. Playing for his former head coach, a guy that I worked for 7 years. Obviously, from a financial standpoint, it's going to be an increase, and he had to do what was best for him and his family. Ashley, Gio, Gabe, we were actually joking about it last night. Like, Gabe especially, being sitting right there in our staff meetings. I'm going to miss that, right? But and it's funny because Brandon comes in and he's got his little guy, his little 4-year-old Landon and his wife Emily. They're joining us, and I know he's going to be bouncing around the office and bouncing around our staff meetings and just continuing to enhance that family culture that we're creating here. But excited for Tanner. Wish him nothing but the best. But Brandon is a guy that's gonna keep the momentum of what this position player group has done. He's gonna keep it going, and I think he's gonna hopefully take this thing to another level. But I trust him. Like I said, he's one of my closest friends. That aside, he's an elite coach. And we're very lucky to have him. He's one of the best coaches in the country, and the fact that I was able to use the relationship that him and I have to our advantage, and have him here is tremendous for our players and for our program going forward. So he's going to help us in a lot of different areas, and that trust is huge for me, right, on a staff. And I've been very blessed to have great assistant coaches. But knowing Christian for 15 years, knowing Brandon 15 years, Monty feels like he's been in this program since I've been here, right, with the way he goes about his business. I mean, I think he's one of the best young assistant coaches, in our region. He does an unbelievable job with our catchers. I'm gonna have to replace him hopefully soon, because he's gonna be on. Right. And that's my hope, right? Because he deserves it and he should get it, right? He's works his butt off, and but our staff is in place, and I'm excited about it. And I know everybody hasn't met him yet is going to be really excited about what he's going to bring to this program.
Well, it's all trending well, brother. And congratulations. I know you're looking forward to getting in all-season workouts, full flux. February will be here before you know it, and we'll be seeing college baseball again. At Memorial.
It's crazy. The guys will be flooding in this week, and I'm excited about seeing all of them. And it's crazy. Start practicing a week. We're rocking and rolling.
Rocking and rolling, man. Rocking and rolling. So, well, listen, man, thanks a lot for jumping on this morning. It's great to get an update on your program. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Rick.
Good luck with your car. Alex Square joined us here on the program. Good stuff. By the way, big announcement that we had today, and we want to thank Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment, now presenting sponsor of BDST. Very, very excited about that. Mike Burnop will come up in about 10 minutes or so. Mike is today, because tomorrow is only an hour, because we're jumping to the Radford side of things tomorrow, because we have the big meetings going on. The big meetings are going on. Dwayne, by the way, speaking of black uniforms, sent me those Nebraska uniforms. just the most hideous thing I've ever seen in my life. Just the most hideous thing I've ever seen in my life. But try to just stay away. Try to just stay away. But, it's great to have AG on talk about the Radford baseball program. If you're in the area, like if you're in the NRV or close by, you need to come out to our stadium. I mean, that setting, there are certain evenings, especially when you have the 6 o'clock first pitch and you start to segue into the evening. And with the way the sun sets, you have the river, back in behind the outfield fence. And it's just one of the most beautiful places I've ever been to for a game. You need to come by and hang out sometime. It's free admission. I mean, the only sports that we have at Radford that aren't free are men's and women's hoops. You have to buy tickets. Everything else, you just walk up and have a great time. So thanks to AG for joining us on the program. Mike Burnop coming up here in just a little bit. And, he was at the scrimmage. We'll get the update on what's going on. Not a lot of people get to look behind the curtain, which we've heard from a lot of the journalists that are covering and are following Virginia Tech. They don't get to go. Media doesn't get to go. They don't really know. They're getting things second and third hand. Not that for Mike Burnop. He's there. He sees, and we're going to get an update on where this team's headed. We're getting so close now. It's that time, and all the work and all the speculation, all the things that we're talking about how important of a season it is. It's a make or break year over there in Blacksburg. There's no denying any of that. I mean, it's on the cusp of happening here. And so we'll find out the latest what's going on with Mike here in just a second. And then Mike Burnop comes to you courtesy of the Louise Baker team, Long and Foster Realtors. So you can go see nrvhomes.com, phone number as well. And I don't need to tell you about how special Louise is to me, how she's helped me and my brother after my mom's passing with the estate and getting property sold. 540-320-0382. So there you go. And it looks like, by the way, I'm going to be Louise's guest coming up Wednesday evening at the Blacksburg Sports Club. So that'll be good. Be sure to go and like and subscribe, please. It means a lot. Tell people to jump in. Remind them that it's free. Don't let them hear the subscribe part and think it costs money. It doesn't. You just go and like and subscribe. It's what the entire algorithm of YouTube is based on, getting likes and views and subscriptions. And I'm very pleased to say, going back and totaling up, we had around 2,800 views of the 5 shows combined last week. I think that's terrific. It's a testament to you, the audience. Again, this is your show now more than ever, because if you're not there watching and spreading the word and this show kind of just flattens, then it won't be here. And YouTube is very honest about that from the get-go when you're starting a live stream. So your support is more vital than ever. It's always been about you, the listening audience. At least I've tried to make the show about you. I don't know about you. I get turned off pretty quickly when I try to listen to sports radio or show. That's why you can't watch any of the hideous stuff on ESPN. But if you're listening and you can tell when the hosts are just totally on there to go into a diatribe about themselves or whatever. Thank you, DVP. Yeah, it was good. That was good with Alex Guerra. No, Jimmy, I have not seen the Air Force uniforms. I'm guessing they have made it a black uniform. When I'm getting asked if I've seen uniforms now, their peeps are saying, I'm going to assume that it means black uniform. I would just like to talk to, I don't know if it's, I guess most of it's the shoe design. I guess it was Nike that got the whole ball rolling on all that crap anyway. But nowadays, you can't bring recruiting into it. Recruiting is all about the color green. not about a black helmet. If your fans aren't gobbling it up and you're making profit off the merch, which I don't think happens a whole lot, at least it's not in Blacksburg, then why would you, at this day and age, why would you still be wearing something that's not part of your color scheme? I don't know. That's a question I would like to have answered, because I don't know. I don't know. Those are straight fire, Wayne says. They're not. And I always look, it doesn't matter. Do yourself a favor if you're on X, if you're on any social media platform, when you see a new uniform reveal that's black, you're inevitably, I'm going to say that the average scroll you're going to have to make is maybe 3 or 4, and then you're going to see somebody say that, man, those are fire. No, they're not. They're not. You're just likely from a generation doesn't know better. Yes, that's right. That's right, Coach Lynn. Green uniforms, wink, wink. Correct. That's the color green I'm talking about. Not the one with the gray kind of tint to it at all. Coach Lynn, head coach, Mount St. Mary's. I had him on last week doing a great job. But I do appreciate the support. I think that's pretty good. You averaged around $550 per show last week, getting it started on YouTube. And that's people that didn't mind seeing this mug on camera. Well, maybe you're not paying that much attention, which you shouldn't. Pay attention to our guests, not myself. But, Mike Burnop will join us here coming up. And then tomorrow's a short show, just the first hour, because we got the mandatory athletic meetings. And then we'll be back on Wednesday, and I'll get you updated on the guest list going forward, okay? But all that's coming up later in the week. And coming up right now, joining us on the program, we figured it out last week. Year 43 for that man, Mike Burnop on the Virginia Tech Radio Network. Mike, how are you? Good morning, brother. Thanks for jumping on a day early.
Hey, no problem, Rick. I'm good, glad to be on there with you. And coming off scrimmage yesterday, so everything's good.
Yeah. Oh, we're excited. By the way, we want to thank Louise Baker. We talked about this last week. Louise Baker, Team Long and Foster Realtors, for presenting Mike Burnop here on this program. I know, again, you and Louise go back a long way, and I'm going to be seeing her on the at the Blacksburg Sports Club Wednesday. So
I hope so. That would be fun to see her. It's always great to see her. The thing about it is, too, now's the time to get postured, too, Rick, because sooner or later here, the interest rates are going to go down, and I think, and boy, it'd be a great time to buy a house. And boy, nobody better than Louise Baker and her team to find what you're looking for, because she's been around so long that she knows the inventory, she knows the people, and the places, the locations, the schools. She's got it all. So, yeah, that'd be a good time to posture yourself for the future here.
Absolutely. She's been giving away football tickets here soon, by the way. We're going to have
that.
Yeah.
Every year she does that.
Every year. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, people are eager, man. What do you got? You got off the scrimmage, and you get this bird's eye view that nobody else in the media really gets.
Yeah.
What was your take? What was your take yesterday?
Well, let's go back to last week. On Thursday, they had a little mini scrimmage in the stadium. They practiced out on the practice field. Then they went to the stadium and practiced for about 45 minutes, had a little mini scrimmage where the officials were there. And that went pretty well. There was a lot of live tackling and whatnot. Yesterday was the last big scrimmage, and it was in the stadium, but they didn't do a lot of live tackling. Of course, quarterbacks have been off limits for the whole camp, and they will continue to be that way. I got to try to keep those guys healthy. But, yeah, I think right now the two deep is going to be set after the scrimmage yesterday. And Coach Pry kind of told the team, hey, if you're not on 1, 2, and 3, you're going to be watching from the sideline and run the scout team. And so, he kind of told them the other day, Thursday, if you want to make your mark, you got a few days left to do it and to get in the pecking order. And if you don't, you're just going to be watching and be part of the scout team and whatever. So, yeah, it was good. Everything went pretty well. I think the defense still, to me, looks faster and better. I think they've handled themselves great in terms of short yardage situations. I think the offense did a little better yesterday. in those situations. But Thursday, the defense kind of dominated the offense, I thought, and which is probably good. And, it's so hard to tell, Rick, because, drones can break some tackles.
Right.
And but as soon as they two-hand touch him, the whistle blows. And it's frustrating for him. It's frustrating for Pop Watson, Garrett Rangel, the third quarterback, that they can't go out there because their legs are good. But again, the officials will blow the whistle, and that's what they've been taught to do. So I thought that part was good. They are making some strides with some passing downfield, which is good, the deep threat. And I thought what was good yesterday, too, the officials were there. And after practice, the officials kind of stayed and talked to the team, went over some of the new rules in terms of, basically the main thing is like faking injuries. You can't really do that. Yeah, can't do that anymore. If you do, if you hurt and you go down, you got to stay down. You can't get up and then like all of a sudden you like take this collapse and fall because the whistle's going to blow and you're going to get called for a timeout. And if you don't have a timeout, it's going to be a delay game penalty of 5 yards. So you got to be careful with that now moving forward, especially in the last 2 minutes of the game when could be the 10-second runoff. So they went over that stuff. They went over, Matt Moore asked some questions about, hey, I'm an offensive lineman and I'm engaged with the defense. He does an inside spin and my hands are over here. And now it looks like I'm holding. Is that going to be called for a hold?
Sure.
We went over situations like that, which was great because the officials explained it to them. Yeah, you could do this. You can't do this. Like when a receiver's running downfield, goes out of bounds, gets pushed out of bounds by the defender. That's when the hat comes off by the official and they throw it on the ground. That's what that means. He can come back in bounds, but he has to establish himself. If the pass gets thrown to him, he can catch it. If he's established himself. If he's not, then it's an illegal touch. So little things like that they went over. Sam Cephas, same thing. The defense coordinator went over a few things. Philip Montgomery talked to him a little bit. Brent Pry did. And so that part was really good as well. So they're making strides, making progress. How good are they going to be? I don't think anybody knows yet.
Yeah.
You just can't tell with so many new faces and, how they got to handle adversity when there's a turnover in the red zone and their backs are against the wall and, that sort of thing. So I think there's a lot to be done here in these last 2 weeks, but they'll certainly calm down in terms of hitting and that sort of thing and pretty much start preparing for South Carolina now.
I think all the years we've talked, Mike, I think you've told me usually that's the case, right? You mentioned the defense looked fast. At this point of the season, most times than not, the defense is going to look a little ahead, right, of the offense.
Yeah, most of the time, yeah. But the offense should come along. And again, it's kind of unfair because you don't know, because a lot of those plays where the whistle's getting blown, the quarterback could have run and broke a tackle and he could have run for 20, 30 yards maybe. You just never know. So I think that's a little bit unfair for the defense or for the offense so that they can't see maybe how good they are. But, yeah, I think the offensive line is pretty much set with those guys, and I think they've done well. Marcellus Hawkins, a running back, I think if they played the game tomorrow, he would probably start. So, some of those young receivers, Snook Peterkin, he has been really good. Isaiah Spencer's been working in the slot. Cam Selden looks good. So a lot of those guys that came in from the portal look good. Ben Bell is quick off the edge. James Junkin, he's quick, fast. The linebackers look better. They look more organized on defense and just more in tune with what's going on. So it's been good so far. And again, you haven't played the game, so you never know.
Well, that's right. As Mike Burnop joins us here on the program here on this Monday. Mike, nice enough to move his appearance because tomorrow, of course, is a short show due to the commitment down at RU. But again, we want to thank the Louise Baker team, Long and Foster Realtors, for Mike's appearance. It's interesting, and it just sounds like Mike. That's got to be some of the best news. Maybe Tech fans aren't thinking about consciously, but to hear you talk about how well everything seems to be moving in the right direction, the things you've seen on defense, those little things that you notice, you've seen it so long. When things are trending the way they're supposed to be, or at least coming together. And it's nice to hear those little subtle differences you're talking about.
Yeah, and I think the other thing, like Rick, when they had the first scrimmage or first live contact way back a couple of weeks ago, the officials were out there and they had 18 penalties. And I mean, Brent like lost his mind after practice. He just told him, he said, guys, you can't do that. I mean, you can't have these stupid penalties. And two of them were when guys got in fights. He said, you guys would have got thrown out of the game. He said, then you can't finish the game. And so what's that going to do? Is that going to help our chances to win? No. And so he went over that specifically every time. So every scrimmage since then, the penalties have gone down, which has been good. I think I saw maybe 3 or 4 flags yesterday. I think that was about it. There weren't many. And so that's a good sign to see that. And it just seems to be coming together. Yesterday, the coaches went up in the press box like it was game day atmosphere. So they were up there for the game, calling the plays and whatnot. So that was good to get that work in. And I'm sure they'll do that a couple more times here before they get started.
I'm getting questions on the text line. How'd the O-line look? Does that still look like it's, the way it's supposed to look as we get closer to the kickoff?
Yeah, they've been those guys have been together. They pretty much have been set in stone since spring practice, which is really unusual. I mean, because usually there's a competition. You got a bunch of guys that are there trying to get those top 8 spots, for example, and some of them are interchangeable. But yeah, this group has been good. Those 5 guys have been together for a while. When you look at Altoona and Remack, and you look at Cunningham, Montavious Cunningham, and Johnny Garrett. They've been there for a while, and they seem to be catching on well and doing really good. So I think he's happy with those guys. There's a couple more guys, challenging for those backup spots, but we'll see what happens with that. But I think in terms of the offensive line, those guys are pretty much set and ready to go. Lath Ganem, he's another one. Brody Meadows has been he's been banged up a little bit, but he'll challenge. He'll be in there for another spot as well.
Now, how will they look at the final scheduling here? We're getting closer and closer to game week. I mean, what will that be, the last full scrimmage, or will they have one more?
No, that's it. That'll be the major hitting. It's over. They'll do some more light stuff, some one-on-one drills, skeleton pass, some inside drills that are live and that sort of thing. But no, they won't have any more scrimmages. Just now, you kind of tone down, get ready for game week, try to keep everybody healthy. I mean, you got to figure, Rick, they've been banging each other for 3 weeks now, right?
Yeah.
And, if you're a player, you're ready to go play somebody else.
That's right.
And quit beating up on your teammates. So, yeah, it gets a little bit old this time. You're going through those dog days now.
And you mentioned this last week. The unknown is Tech's advantage here a little bit, right? New coordinators, don't you think? I think there's a lot into that, especially going into a game like this.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I think when you don't really know much about what Virginia Tech's going to do, you got to go back and look at Philip Montgomery's tape when he was the head coach at Tulsa, when he was in the USFL. You got to go back and look and see what he did with his quarterbacks. I mean, what did they do with RG3? What did they do with Case Keenum? Some of those good quarterbacks that he had. And so for these coaches on the other staff, I mean, they got to break down that sort of thing. Like, what did he do at his previous places? And what did Sam Cephas do at Wofford? What did he do in the Arizona Cardinals? How did his defense look? How did they adjust to this and that? So, yeah, there's a lot of unknowns going into the first game. Same way with the offensive line. But, those things are going to be important and key. And one of the real keys to this game, in my mind, is going to be how do you adjust? Because both of these teams in opening games are going to have to adjust to what the other one does. It's like Virginia Tech's not going to know. They're going to have a pretty good handle on what Sellers is going to do as a quarterback, right? But you may not know what the rest of them are going to do and what they're going to throw at you. So there'll be different kinks that they got to look at, but halftime adjustments are going to be big in this game.
Well, a lot to look forward to in terms of what's going to be coming up on the gridiron. Of course, a lot of Tech fans looking forward to how things are going to go today with Babcock. I mean, we're talking about the money in Virginia Tech. They're going to. Do you feel like this is going to be a successful campaign for Tech? Because you've talked about it a lot over the years. I mean, especially recently, you got to have that, right? You got to have that financial support, and Tech's hoping to get more of that after today's presentation.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be important. It'll be interesting to see. I'm not sure how all that stuff came out beforehand, but it kind of got people thinking for sure. But I think it's just black and white now. I mean, you got to say, where do you want to be as a program? Do you want to be able to compete? And if you do, we need more money to compete with the rest of the teams in the league because, they got more money than we do, and the rich are going to get richer.
That's
and
right.
I think whatever happens, Rick, you got to position yourself to what's going to happen in 2030 when new contracts come out with TV and all those sorts of things. That expansion, the conferences could blow up again then.
Yep.
And if you get left out in that one, you're going to be in trouble.
Right.
So I think for sure you got to make sure you're positioned so when that next wave of expansion comes or whatever, that you get included. And Virginia Tech's got everything going for it in terms of stadium, facilities, fan support, all those sort of things. You just got to win some games, and then you got to get some more money in here to obviously pay these players. I mean, it's absurd what's going on behind the scenes with these guys making all this money. I mean, I just keep thinking back like, damn, how lucky could I have been? Instead of that $15 a month laundry money.
It's nuts. It is. It is nuts. And the way it's been gone about by many places, it doesn't make any sense, right? It's supposed to be part of revenue. What you're creating now, it's just become these blind bidding wars. But you said it better than anybody I've heard. It's now black and white. You can strip everything else aside. Do you want to be this or do you want to be that? And that's what it's going to come down to. No matter what else is involved or people's opinions, you're either going to get it and be a part of that or you're not.
Yeah. And Whit will do a great job today. I know he's well prepared for this thing. He's been working on it for quite a while. There's a lot of slides and whatnot, and it's going to be there. It'll be black and white, and he'll explain it to the board and see what they want to do. And I think, it's going to be key for them to understand it and ask questions and get the right answers. But, if you want to be part of the big boys, you're going to have to ante up. And I think that's what it's going to boil down to ultimately is, if you want to be part of it, be positioned for the next round, you better be ready to go. That's why this year is so important for Brent Pry, for Whit, all those guys. I mean, you got to win and you got to show progress, show this team's going in the right direction. So, these first two games are going to be huge. You want to get off to a great start. And again, when you got a young team and so many new faces, you don't know how they're going to handle adversity, how they're going to be when things don't go their way. You're going to lose your cool or you're going to grind down and grind it out and make sure you get things right. So, there's a lot of teaching moments still left to be had. And, that's one thing they were talking about after the officials left the other day. He says, we really got to coach these guys up on these things like these timeouts and the injuries and whatnot. If we don't have any timeouts, you're going to hurt yourself. So if you're down, stay down, and then the whistle blows and there's no penalty. So, you got to come out for one play, but that could be a lot worse. And another thing, a couple things yesterday in the scrimmage was like the helmets. A couple times helmets came off, and Brent said, "Hey, we got to get that fixed. You can't lose your helmet during a play, and you got to miss a play. Get those things in there, get them checked, get them fixed, and let's make sure we don't have that stuff happen anymore." So these are the days that you get those little things done.
Have they adjusted in any way, shape, and form this whole targeting rule that just seems to be such a matter of interpretation game by game, or is everything just still in place the same way and you just got to, squint hard and swallow hard and close your eyes on a tough play like that?
I know, I swear, it seems like half the time Bill and I are wrong. It's like, I'm like, how is that not targeting?
I know.
But they did not address that yesterday, and I don't think anything new has been happening with that. So I don't know that anything will change in that regard. It's frustrating, but sometimes you scratch your head and wonder like, how is that this or that or the other? You'd love to have asked the supervisor officials, who I'm not sure who it is this year, to be honest. Like what went into the decision making in the Miami game last year after it took them 5 or 6 minutes to review that play. Was it a catch or no catch? It's like, you'd love to hear that explanation.
I know. Someone, please tell us what happened. We want to thank Louise Baker, Team Long and Foster Realtors at 540-320-0382 for Mike Burnop here being on the program. And before we let you go, Mike, something you said about the first two opponents, I think every Tech fan should be excited that it's both against the SEC. Because one would be a major feather in the cap if you go down there in the neutral site and beat that team who's in the top 15. And then another, Diego Pavia is one of the highest regarded quarterbacks in that league. So regardless of whether it's Vanderbilt or not, they beat you last year. Somehow you come out of this and you get 2 wins against the conference that's basically controlling the whole sport. Man, you talk about a boost to your season, right?
Yeah, no doubt about it. That would be fantastic. And, it's not going to be easy by any stretch of the imagination, but you got to get ready. And that, it's going to be a challenge too, Rick, when you're playing on Sunday and you got to turn around and play back again on Saturday. You're going to lose a day of work on that week. But I know this for home games at Virginia Tech and a home opener that's a night game. I think back to that Carolina game a few years back when they were so good. Mike Brown had a top 10 team and a great quarterback, and the Hokies blitzed them. And, I think the quarterback threw 3 interceptions or whatever. And I think Lane Stadium will be jacked up for the Vanderbilt game, especially in light of what happened last year with Pavia and the way he runs his mouth and all those sorts of things. I think they'll be ready for him. Just getting through this first game and, trying to see if you can find some way to keep that thing close and scratch out a win late. That would be great. Love is kicking field goals as good as ever. He kicked a 50-yarder yesterday. I think when you see in the NFL, that kid kicked one from 70 here in an exhibition game, last weekend. You might see some longer attempts coming up. You never know. But Love certainly got the leg to do that. And so, it's going to be interesting to see what happens and how they play, and can they somehow, some way get a win, because South Carolina's going to have the crowd for sure. And, it's a great opportunity for Virginia Tech, though. No doubt.
And
the question is, Rick, and the question is, your girl Jen, the Gamecock girl, what's she going to be? She's going to be like fired up for this thing?
She is. She's because she always pulls for Tech, because they haven't played South Carolina. She won't be. She won't be in Atlanta, but yeah, she's going to be fired up. I asked her. I tried to convince her to wear one of the half jerseys. She said, "Nope, it's garnet and black all the way." And I knew that. I knew the answer to that question.
I look forward to playing them. We played them when I was in college, and my senior year we played them in Lane Stadium. It's great. That's a great game. It's a close game for fans,
Yeah.
Hopefully maybe they can get it on the schedule more. And that's certainly one thing the Witt's going to talk about too is, the schedule's got to get upgraded, because now with this revenue sharing
100%.
In the ACC, you got to have eyeballs on TVs. And these games that are on ESPN, that's what you got to have, because that's where the viewers are. It's not as good on the ACC network, and basically you don't get much of anything for the CW and all those. So you got to have high-profile games. You got to play them on ESPN, and get these games like this opener in a neutral site where there's a lot of eyeballs in it. It's the only game in town that day. That's the revenue sharing now is going to be huge. So that's another thing Witt will talk about today and try to impress upon, hey, we got to upgrade our schedule. We got to do this and this and this, because it's about eyeballs watching games now. So he kind of kidded with one of the groups we were with, one of the Hokie tour stops. He says, if you leave your house and you go to the game, he says, just make sure every TV in your house is on the game.
There you go. Yeah.
It's kind of funny.
Just leave it on. Well, they've already addressed that with the ending of the ODU series early, and I have a hunch this will be the last time we ever have to hear about Wofford ever being on the schedule again. Just a hunch.
Except for Mike Young, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the Mike Young influence. That's right. Well, Mike, listen, have a great week. Hey, going forward, we have no more Saturday-less college football weekends until January, so it's a great time around. We'll be talking about game preview next week. Hard to believe.
I know. It's going to be fun to watch and see and get some football going. And everybody's undefeated right now, and everybody thinks they're going to have a great year and go undefeated. And, everybody's going to – half of them are going to win and half of them are going to lose, right? So,
Yep.
Then you got to adjust on the fly and get ready for the next week, because nobody's going to feel sorry for you. And you got to make your own bed.
That's it.
So to speak. Yep.
Well, Mike, listen, thanks so much again for joining a day early. I hope you have a great week, man, and we'll see how things develop into next week when we get into game preview.
Sounds good, Rick. You take care. Have a good meeting there tomorrow at Radford. Yep. And thanks again to Louise Baker, and keep her in mind for all your real estate needs. She's the best.
She is the absolute best. Go see Louise today, as a matter of fact. Thanks, Mike. Have a great week, man. We appreciate you.
Okay, Rick. Sounds good.
Right,
see you now.
There you go. Mike Burnop joining us on the program. And again, thanks to Louise Baker for sponsoring Mike Burnop's appearance here on the program. Louise Baker, Long and Foster Realtors, 540-320-0382. Louise is the best, and I can, do an endorsement for her all the time for the rest of my days. And she's the best in the world. She can help you any aspect you need with your property, any aspect whatsoever. And we want to thank Family Fencing again for being our studio sponsor, our Family Fencing Studios. They are the best. Give them a call at 540-200-8294, familyfencingnrv.com, which you see below. Locally owned fence experts. They have finance options available here in New River Valley in Southwest Virginia. Doesn't matter the material, they have it. Again, 540-200-8294, familyfencingnrv.com. And they were the first folks to jump on board with us here on the program. Of course, we started out today's show with a major announcement here that BDST is now brought to you here on YouTube by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. I want to thank Jonathan Sweets and Tim and all the folks up there. I'm looking forward to meeting those folks here. We'll have interviews with those folks here on the show. It's going to be a lot of fun. So thank you so much for your support. It's where I grew up. It's my county, and what they're doing there to change things around is terrific. As much as I've adapted Montgomery County and here in Reiner is my new home, but you never forget where you come from. So it's great stuff. So thank you so much to those folks. Thanks to Charles Lee and all the folks, Little River Heating and Air here, 1095 Radford Street in Christiansburg. Go see them today. And I gave my testimonial earlier for them. They are outstanding. Thank you so much, Kyle. Kyle says, glad to have you back. Thanks, Davey. Was good. Guests make the show really good. Thank you so much. I'm always going to hit it, folks, and I need you to spread the word. There's even a QR code now to make it easy for people on our Facebook page, but need you to subscribe, like, and share. That's going to keep this program up and running on YouTube. Very nice individual who's been assigned to this program, but they're very honest about what they're looking for in the algorithm. And we need views. We had 2,800 last week combined. It was an awesome start. They even said that's really good. It's all up to you. Spread the word. We need the subscribes. We need the likes. I know you get tired of hearing it when you're watching YouTube, and now I understand it. I used to get tired of hearing it all the time. Boy, why do they keep saying that? Okay. Well, now I get it. Now I get it. But I think we, and I mean we as a community as a whole, can build this thing not only throughout here, but beyond, and it can be something that grasps on and expands. And like it has, there's a reason we've lasted 15 years on radio heading into this new venture in the digital age. And the reason is because, well, of you and your support. It was you who got fired up when I put the thing up on the back a few months ago when I thought it was going to come back as a radio show that didn't end up working out. They said, yeah, let's do this. Come on. When's it start? Let's go. So thank you so much for all your support. Also, don't forget our BDST fan question of the week, brought to you by the attorney, Ryan Pry. He specializes in trust and estate planning. They're over on 701 West Main Street in Radford in the Central Square parking lot. All right. And it's just a fun question. These questions aren't going to be necessarily to win anything, but I just want to hear about why your favorite team is your favorite team, whether it's pro, whether it's college, whatever it might be. Doesn't matter which, just whichever. And we're going to announce and talk about some of those reasons that you gave us. And I can give my, why I pick my teams. I've had the same favorite team since I was 5 years old. And we'll talk about that. But call Ryan today. 540-838-2233. PryLawOffice.com, by the way, is how you can reach him. And Mark Hundley and all the folks at McClellan Chiropractic, thank you so much for sponsoring our chat room, which is getting bigger every show. It's awesome. Yeah, I like that, Wayne. Dawg Nation, DAWG. I like that. Now you got me thinking about maybe an alternate design to T-shirts if we ever make T-shirts. I know it kind of treads along the Georgia thing a little too close, maybe, but I like that. So good stuff today. We want to thank Germaine Ferrell. We want to thank Alex Guerra from Radford Baseball, and of course Mike Burnop. Being told now tomorrow is a short show. Just the first hour, because of the RU meeting. I'll remind people in case you tune in later tomorrow on where the show went, and you'll know. But I'm told we might have a special guest tomorrow. Interesting. And I sit here looking at you in the camera. I have no idea what this is about. Zero. But I'm told that I might have a special guest tomorrow, even though it's only 1 hour. How about that? Oh, here comes Balboa Creed. That's right. Balboa Creed, the rescue kitty. You see this guy right here? And I know a lot of people probably may not be cat people. But this guy right here, and I'm an all animals guy. I like dogs, cats. It doesn't matter. It's big dog sports talk. This guy, yeah, him. One day he saw the microphone. This guy was found on the side of the road when I was jogging, back when I used to jog. And I don't understand how people can do this. I went around the corner and I saw a bag, and I could see, I don't want to be grotesque, but I could see kittens who had been run over. It broke my heart. So I come around the corner and I see the bag is still kind of moving. And then that little guy at the time comes walking out. And he's sitting there and he's shivering. And so whoever had thrown them out, it hadn't been too long. And I'm thinking, oh, here we go. And my kids were, my daughter was already gone. My 2 sons were here. So I had him and I just took him home. And now he's part of the family here. And he's now been a part of most of the shows. He kind of walks over here and wants to say hi. So there you go. Yes, Balboa Creed, Rocky Balboa, Apollo Creed. There you go. So that's his story. And he's made himself a part of just about every show so far. All right. So thanks to you for watching. Thanks again to our guests. Thanks to our great sponsors, Family Fencing Studios, of course, McClellan Chiropractic Clinic. Thanks to Ryan Pry for sponsoring our BDST Fan Question of the Week. Thank you so much to Little River Heating and Air, and a very special thank you to Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment presenting this program going forward. Everybody, I hope you have a terrific rest of your Monday. Don't forget, tomorrow is just an hour show. I'll see if I get any info at all about who this potential guest might be on the show tomorrow. So I really don't know. But thank you for chatting. Hit us up in the BDST text line. And again, let me know why your favorite team is your favorite team. I'm focusing just on football. So I'm looking for NFL, college football, whatever it might be. Just let me know. Let me know. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. Take care. We shall see you tomorrow on the shortened Tuesday edition. We'll be on just from 6 to 7 tomorrow. So jump in early, get your coffee going, get your breakfast going, and join us here on the program. We'll see you then, everybody. Take care. Thanks again to all of our guests today, Jermaine, Alex Guerra, and Mike Burnop. Be good, everybody. Take care.